Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting live panel. Today, we're going to talk about something different. Today, we're going to talk about how to ruin your career. I got to give credit where credit's due. This is Ben Stein. Remember Ben Stein's Money and the guy from all the Ferris Bueller, that guy.
Yeah.
He wrote a book that said how to ruin your life, and it was basically all the things you could do wrong in life, and it was like his satire to it. So I actually wanted to talk about that because we see a lot of creators just being, weird about how they handle their situations. You saw this and you were like, let me be part of that. And I guess that a pastor would be a good thing for this one. He's heard enough sins that he can tell us all the things not to do. So Luke Stone is joining us as well. So go around the room, guys, introduce yourself. I will be your moderator today. My name is Mr. Anderson. And as the title says, I am the creative comics devil and proud comic book advocate. Go ahead, Austin. Tell them who you are.
So I'm Mr. Austin Janowski. I've been working in comics since 1994. Plus, I do film and design and everything. But yeah, way back in 1994, I got to this crazy comic book business, and I've been celebrating over 26 years of comic obscurity in the comic book industry.
Hi, I'm Luke Stone. I'm the artist and the writer behind Hybrids, the Sons of Gods. I also serve as the project manager for Starcross Comics. I've been doing comics semi-professionally and on a serious basis for the last 5 to 6 years. And I'm currently working on a bunch of new projects as well. One called Voodoo Nations with a guy named Travis Gibb, and a few other things that I've got in the works right now. So that's me. That's what I'm doing.
All right, so let's open it up right away, guys. In your opinions, let's go around the room. What is the top sin that a creator can do right now to ruin their career the fastest way? To me, I'll start off, and I think this is the worst thing you could do. And it was said that we have a whole bunch of chats. Like Austin saw some of it, people putting in comments, and I have to agree with one person. The person who ever posts, and I have friends who have done this, and I'm not trying to pick on anyone. So I've seen this more than once. I want everyone to know that, because I know some of my friends might see this and think it's about them. It's a general statement. It happens this often. The people who say, if you are this or if you do this, then I do not want you to follow me, unfriend me, leave. And usually it has something political charged with it. It's not like if you kick puppies and burn them in the middle of the night, I don't want you to be my friend. It's nothing that serious. It's always something like, if you support this candidate, then, and it goes back all different ways, I don't want you to buy my books, unfriend me and unfollow me. I think that's the biggest way to ruin your career, because even the people who see you as they agree with you are going to see that you're drawing lines. And that's always a negative thing to me. The minute you start putting lines around you, you are boxing yourself in and you're making your audience smaller. You're also making it look like you're very closed off to different ideas and different people. No one says you have to vote for the person, but you can't tell other people how to live their life, is basically how I feel. Austin?
I don't particularly understand the world that we live in, where a person can disagree with another person, and by doing so, they're casting the stone that, this is me, this is you, and you must hate everything I ever have done, will do, and my family to boot. Whereas it's like, no, I don't like the color scheme of that one thing. Nope, that's it, it's done, whatever. That's the world we live in. That's it. I don't like anything you've ever done or whatever you're going to do. And I don't get it. I don't understand why you would purposely try to limit your fan base. Now, there are people out there that are not very good people. I personally don't like these said people, but I'm not going to publicly say anything about said people unless I'm defending myself. That being said, if these people want to spend money on their stuff, it's their money. If they want to do something like that, that's fine. I might not agree with it, but who am I to say anything? I have certain things that I would like to spend money on, and people be like, really? It is what it is. This is called America, right? This is called freedom of choice. It's the whole thing, I don't get it. I just don't understand it at all. So I don't think that's really an answer, but it just doesn't make any sense to me.
And Luke.
Yeah, I think a pretty major career killer right out of the gate is the way you treat your creative team, the way you kind of deal with business. I know a first time creator who came out of the gate, worked with the publisher. Publisher hooked them up with their printer, and it was one of those things where a whole bunch of books got shipped and a whole bunch of books didn't get paid for. And so that fell to the publisher that was working with him at the time to do that when it wasn't part of the agreement. And, be honest, have integrity, and pay your bills. Definitely pay your bills. I think when you start to show those, especially early on, when you start to mistreat people and, don't fulfill on promises, don't fulfill on obligations, take money and kind of mismanage those things. And I mean, it could be a number of different things that causes that to happen. It could just be an honest mismanagement. It could be a mistake, but not having integrity in the middle of that is a pretty good way to kill your career when you take money from other people and don't fulfill your promises. We've seen it happen over and over and over again with the quote unquote Facebook publishers. Where they run Kickstarters and they don't fulfill, and it's tough to regain a reputation after you do something like that.
I completely agree. Okay, I'm going to open it up a little bit now that we got that out of the way. What personal things have you guys experienced that has turned you off to a creator, and you realize now that is something that can forever ruin a reputation and a career? For me, it's paying an artist and the artist disappearing. To the point where I'll write someone off. I don't care. Money's never been that important to me, but I'll never work with you again. And anyone who comes and asks me about you, doesn't matter if your name's on I won't go off and start a Facebook live like this and call a person out, because that was between me and them. And I do believe that's personal business, and I shouldn't rally people behind them. But if someone comes to ask me for a reference, I'm going to do the worst thing you can ever do to a person. I'm going to tell the truth. And I'm going to say what happened, that they just disappeared. They went down to drink. They didn't take it serious. They did bad work. I'm not going to lie and help them. It's like that Batman thing. I don't have to save your life, but I'm not going to end you either. And I think that's something people have to learn. When you have a personal problem with the one person, that's your problem. Don't make it the world's business. Now, if this is a person taking advantage of many people, I think that's the difference. But definitely, if I pay you for work and you disappear, I don't care the why, because you disappearing means you're not even trying to make it right. You're just playing games. You took the money and you don't want to do the work. So I'm done at that point. Austin?
Well, I agree 100%, especially with publishers and whatnot, saying realistic expectations. If you say you're going to do something, then you as a person, you trying to be professional, you need to go ahead and do it. I told this story before, but I'll say it again. When I was really kind of breaking in, I got invited to Heroes Con, and there's a publisher that I was working with, and they wanted me to come up and be at the show, and they were going to cover my bus fare and my hotel and my table and the whole 9 yards. Just I needed to get up there, and he'd cover my costs. So I did the bus, and I made a bus come, because there wasn't going to be a bus to Charlotte, so we got a bus and we went up there. And he wasn't there yet, so I bought a table. And this was 4th of July weekend. He never showed up. I mean, he ghosts, nothing. So here I am, never been to Charlotte, first time at the show, don't have a hotel room, just paid for a table. No one really knows me. And I have to figure out where I'm staying for a weekend in Charlotte. And I heard from him maybe 2 years later, and he apologized. A lot of things happened. Believe me, I get it. I've been that person who's taken to do things and either didn't end up doing it or did it super, super late. But I earned the reputation of someone who couldn't follow through. And it took a while for me to get back to showing that I could. This is earlier in my career, you know what I mean? Things happen. But again, if you're going to do something and say you're going to do it and take money on it, then as a professional, you need to go ahead and do so. A lot of people don't have the professional work ethic, right? To work by themselves and make sure that they're doing it. They can do great samples and they can get the money, but they need to make sure that they follow through. 1 or 2 times things happen because you're up and coming, okay. But if you have a continuous streak of things that are going on, then you're going to have to let people know that this is the type of person that you are, and you're going to have to work really hard to overcome that. So you just can't do it. That's why I don't take money until pretty much the book's done, or I'll take a small percentage, and then once it's done, before the final gets done, then I get my money. Otherwise, because I don't want to take money up front. That puts a lot of pressure on me, because God forbid something happens, then there's that expectation. So that's why, for me personally, that's why I don't do it up front, because that can be kind of slow.
Luke, take it over.
Yeah, life happens, and it's always, that always is something that I try to work in there for the clients that I'm doing work for, and for people that are doing work for me. I always try to, have that understanding and say, look, this is the expectation. There could be things that come up and things like that. So communication is always key.
Yes.
But I think the thing that really just shuts me off from a person, it's almost kind of like what Rob was saying at the beginning. Those people that are like hyper political, and they if you support so and so, unfriend me now. I may not support that person, but I'm unfriending you because you're small-minded and not grown up enough to have an adult conversation. So I just kind of cut those people out right away. I just don't have time for them. And that usually is something that will cut me. Like, I will just not have any grace for people that get really hyper political. Like, we had somebody who assumed, for whatever reason, that we were associated with a group that they didn't like, which we weren't. But their reason for not taking a job that was offered to us was because, you guys are a part of that group. Well, number one, we're not a part of that group. But number two, really the reason why he hadn't worked with us for a while was because he's notoriously slow at getting stuff done. It took him 2 months to get a single page drawn. And when he did, the page wasn't any good. It's like he had phoned it in last minute. And so when people start doing things like that, and they start drawing hard lines like that and trying to make everything political or something, like, I just write them off, because, either you're serious about your business, you're serious about doing comics, or you're not, and if you're trying to use politics as an excuse for your poor work ethic, well, that's just lazy. And it only goes to the, verify your poor work ethic. So that's really what normally just cuts me off with people, on top of the dishonesty. So if they're just dishonest, or, they are, and then there's a few people that are just antagonists, man. They just love to make fights. I'm not one of those people. I would like to stay as positive as I possibly can. I'd like to use the online platform to lift people up and to make great comics and to help other people make great comics. And there are so many people that just want to tear others down with it. Really negative people I try to stay away from. People that try to find they are antagonists in every comment section. They find a thread, and man, it doesn't matter if everybody else is agreeing with it. They are the ones disagreeing and causing stink in there. I try to stay away from people like that too.
All right, and we're going to head over to the comment section now and talk about what some people were saying today in our comments section. One of those was Michael Odin, and he said, "Tell your customer base they are wrong and they can skip your book if they want." And I definitely think when you start telling stop me if I'm wrong, Austin, you've been around longer than me. Does it feel like this newer generation of creators almost have this entitledness to them? Like they're doing fans a favor by creating books? Because I get that from a lot of these newer creators in this generation.
The whole generation has this entitlement sort of thing. It's interesting that you say that, because I had a conversation with a publisher that was putting out books and doing quite well. And the artwork was good, not great, but it was good, and they were doing good numbers. And they were having a talk where they were saying, well, we don't really have to do high quality artwork because the consumer doesn't know any better, so why should we? And I wrote back and I'm like, well, don't you want to raise the quality of what you're doing, so to kind of put you above the rest? Well, they don't know any better, so it's okay. It's the same thing with your consumer. Your consumer is spending money on you. So in order to keep that, you need to take care of them. Otherwise, they're not going to stay around. But these people think that, well, I'm right, you're wrong, and there's that, forget it. You know what? Just go away. You know what I mean? Whereas they might just disagree on the color choice of the costume for one of your characters. Nope, Forget it. You don't understand what I'm doing. Go away. People are so dismissive and so quick to just go like that they're missing an opportunity to actually have a conversation with said customers, find out what they like and don't like about their book, and improve your product. I mean, this is a good golden opportunity for you to fix things. When I was trying to really break in, we were ecstatic for any, customer that wanted to talk to us and tell us what they thought. They would write letters into Marvel and DC about topics and different things about that said issue. And they had a discussion about that. Discussion breeded top of mind awareness. Top of mind awareness made more people think about, oh, I'm going to buy this book because they're thinking about it when they went to the comic book store because there's so many books to choose from. It's even more so nowadays. Now there's just a book. And you're telling the person, well, you're wrong, so just don't buy my book. You're just shooting yourself in the foot. Again, that type of thinking, I just don't understand at all. It just, for a business standpoint, that's like number one thing you don't do as a business person is just tell your customer, no, you're wrong. Just don't buy my stuff. You know what I mean? Just here's some money, burn it, because that's basically what you're doing by saying that.
I don't understand why anyone would want to try to treat their fan base like their children. I mean, they're adults, they work hard for their money and they're giving some of their money to you for something that you're doing. Otherwise you would be flipping hamburgers, worst case scenario somewhere, trying to kind of support what you're trying to do. Or, you would have to abandon comics altogether and find another career somewhere. I just don't understand it. I'm absolutely 100% in the customer service field. I'm a writer, I'm an artist, but I am about the customer. I am about the fan. I've been really picky with people that have, that I've commissioned or something to draw one of my characters. And it's not because I care. It's because I know my fans that read the books, they care. If Trash Man doesn't look like Trash Man, if Chlorine doesn't look like Chlorine, they're the ones that are going to know, because at some point, the things that you create stop really being yours, and they become the fans. They live in the world as much as you do, and you need to honor them for that. If they have a question about it, answer it. If they if they want to call you on one of your plot holes, let them, but engage with them. Be nice to them. Don't tell them they don't know what they're doing. And if they vote for another person than what you agree with, who freaking cares? In 4 years, you have an opportunity to vote again. And in another 4 years, you have an opportunity to vote again. If you don't like, it doesn't matter. Everyone, it's 50% of the people are going to be upset with whoever gets elected next year. It doesn't matter, So why allow that to dictate your business and how you treat your readers? That's stupid. It's just stupid to me.
You're never going to make everyone happy. Okay, there's always going to be someone that isn't going to like what you do, but across the board, if you're making the majority of everyone happy, then that's a good thing. Disagreeing with what a customer is saying, it's like, you're wrong, and just don't buy my thing, because they're thinking, you just don't understand my vision in my book. Listen to what they're saying, and they might actually have a valid point. I mean, open yourself up to be adaptable, and that only helps you grow as a creative person. You know what I mean? Taking outside criticism, taking it to heart, and then being able to look at what you're doing, being so narrow focused and like, this is what I'm only, and you can't tell me either, whatever. That's going to pigeonhole you as a creative person. At least I think so. I don't know.
I do too. So I used to be the general manager of a retail store, but it was a specialized retail store. It was a parts department, kind of like a standalone parts store. And I had an education in parts. I was ASE certified parts specialist. I'd spent a number of years actually working on cars. So I knew a thing or two about parts and cars and how to fix things. And, there was always that customer that came in that looked at you like you didn't know anything, that had that Ron Swanson, I know more than you. Well, sometimes people do know more than you, and that's fine. Sometimes they don't know more than you, but there's always the person that's going to think they do or treat you that way.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I would just tell my people, it's like, look, yeah, he may not know as much as you do, and he might think that he does, because I had some really educated people that work there. some smart people that understood cars, understood parts. We dealt with parts all day long. We dealt with cars all day long. That's what we did.
Yeah.
And there was times when I was like, look, just smile, nod, do whatever to make them happy, get them out the door, and then come back in the bag and then let's, complain about them to me. If you've got a customer that's like that, don't go to Facebook and don't just go to another creator that has dealt with something like that and vent in that kind of situation, because I feel like that could be a real career killer. If it gets around that you like to badmouth your fans, people aren't going to want to give you their money anymore.
Yeah, very quickly. That will spread like wildfire, because in today's age and the world we live in, people love the next negativity, jumping on the negativity, spreading the negativity, you know what I mean? Because of how unhappy they are with themselves, that they need to latch onto something, and it's a mob mentality. It can grow very quickly, and it will steamroll to the point where you might say something that you're not thinking could offend or upset, and next thing you know, it's taken out of context, and then you have to defend yourself. And I'm just going to roll into something with that. There's been a couple times that I've been accused of swiping. One was in 2011 and one was in 2016. Now, the first one who did that, it was because I had come up with an idea. I gave them examples on said idea. They did something really similar. I was supposed to work on it with them. I didn't have time. And then they did it on their own. I did something on my own. And then when we got back together, he got upset that I was still doing something, and then accused me of swiping it because I didn't put his name on the image. Well, he didn't put my name on his images that he was doing back then. And he used negative and false information to not only put me down, but to raise the level of awareness on him because he was putting out a new book. There's a lot of creators, newer creators, that use this negative tactic because, bad news is better than no news, right? And negative news is better than whatever. And they would use this sort of thing to get people to jump in to see what they're doing at the expense of somebody else. And that happened to me a couple of times. That's not how I roll, but unfortunately, people do that sort of thing. And it comes back to bite them. On both regards, it's come back to bite them.
Well, I think in the end, what happens is people look at each other as competitors, and instead of as we are people in the same industry, and that if we work together, the industry improves in total. If the industry gets better, there's more money in the industry for everybody. But they don't look at it that way. They look at like, okay, I'm competing. So Luke here is competing with Austin and Rob for the same dollar, and only one of us is going to get that dollar. I don't believe that.
Luke, in fairness, it is a bit of a competition. You can't take that away from this industry.
Well,
this would be a bit of a competition. There is a fact, but in any competition, there's rules to how you play. And when you don't play right and you break those rules, you're not invited to be part of the athletic groups. You don't make the Olympics. You go down to the schoolyards where that stuff works, and that keeps you an amateur. There is a bit of competition in this industry.
I believe there is. I'm not trying to say that there's not, Rob, so you didn't let me finish.
Sorry. I just wanted to make sure we don't get that out there where people think that it's not. It is. But
the thing is, what the point I'm making is that there are people act like I don't think that I can only there's only $1 that you and I are all fighting for. I believe the customer has dollars and they're going to spend the dollars on what they want. And the competition isn't necessarily against you or I. The competition is against the quality. I believe that is in my opinion, where the competition is at. Because if you're creating quality work, people will spend their money on quality work. They will find the money to spend on Rob's work, Austin's work, and Luke's work if it's quality work. Now, if it's between me and somebody else that has a Nephilim book, or some kind of thing like that, and their quality is better than my quality, then that's where the competition's at. If the customer decides to buy that book because it's better written, it's better drawn, it's better produced, and they don't buy mine because it's not, then it's not that person's fault. They don't become my enemy by default because they sold a book and I didn't. I should inwardly say, wow, I need to up my game rather than try to tear that person down so that my book then gets the recognition. Because that's what happens a lot of time. It's the people that aren't putting, either they haven't reached that skill level yet, or they don't want to put in the long, hard work. I heard someone say it the other day, and I think it was Brian K. Morris that said it, and I'll say it today. It takes years to become an overnight success. And people get so upset and jealous over the people that have worked hard and like they get a little bit of success, but they've worked hard to get there. People are just now hearing about hybrids, but hybrids have been around for like 5 years. People are just now are starting to oh, I've never heard of this before. Yeah, that is really disheartening because I've been talking about it for a very long time and people haven't heard about it. But you guys know this. You've worked hard and you've put a lot of things. Rob just funded a Kickstarter, but it was his third attempt at doing it. But this one was very successful. The audience was ready for it. We got the word out there, and it was very good. And it wasn't an overnight success, even though oh, I just heard about this, and everyone's like, oh, did you hear about this overnight success? Well, it certainly wasn't overnight. It took a long time to get there, and it takes a lot of work to do those things. And so I find that the most negativity comes from people not willing to put in the work. They want to cut corners. They want to take shortcuts to try to get where they're at. And the best way they can do that is to tear other people down instead of helping lift others up. I would rather make it across the finish line with people that I trust than go across after I've swiped everybody out by cheating, just personally.
I will say with me, and the first time, they were basically just trying to knock me and everyone else down to get to the finish line. The second time, the person had wrong information, was given wrong information to start with when I was accused, and then later realized that no, that wasn't the case, and then came back and apologized, and we're all good now. So, but that's the thing. Once you say it, whether it's true or not, it's there. And instead of, innocent until proven guilty, it's just the opposite now, because everyone has to now prove, regardless of how outrageously inaccurate a statement might be, you have to prove that that's not the case. You know what I mean? And I'm with you, Luke. My whole thing with comic books is collaborating with people, helping newer people get up and be more successful than I am. And us are able to go and publish good stuff and make some money. That's where I am nowadays. You know what I mean? I don't want to see anyone fail in comic books because that hurts the industry across the board. I want everyone to be successful. I want everyone to have good stuff, but I want everyone to raise or try to raise what they're doing, the quality, the professionals and everything, because if we raise one, we raise all, right? It helps raise a village. And the standards that get higher, then we can compete. We can honestly say, yeah, we look just as good as Marvel and DC. Put the books side by side. Every book that I try to do, I want to be able to go on the newsstand and put side by side. And I'm like, show me the difference in quality of the artwork. Show me the quality, the difference in the stories. That you can't. That's my benchmark that I try to do.
When I see somebody else's work that's really amazing, I don't get upset by it. I just want to work hard to get to their level.
Luke, I do want to get on to everyone else's comments. I'm going to give you the last thing to finish this up. We have spent a little too long on this topic, but finish up, and then I just want you to know after you finish, we're going to spit it.
Go right ahead.
No, finish what you're saying. I'm
good. I'm set.
Okay. Yeah, because there are a bunch of comments for once before we even started the panel, and I want to make sure we get to them all because there's Dirk Manning one. I'll take it real quick. Dirk Manning, for those who don't know, hold on, let me get my copy off the floor. So I've been recycling it and keeping it where it belongs on the floor right now. He's a guy who he was accused of doing something wrong with women. That's a way to ruin your career. I'm not going to go into the accusations. They're not mine to talk about. Right. That's not the problem is that he made us part of his bedroom by doing things that became public and ugly. And instead of addressing them and addressing the women that were accusing him, he denied it, didn't talk about it until he was finally pressed into a point where he had to talk about it. And he admitted wrongdoing, but didn't admit what he did wrong. He just admitted he was doing wrong, thought he owed no one an explanation, and then just suddenly disappeared. When he came back, he blocked a lot of people. This has effectively ruined his career. I have said it many times. He's already been canceled. He just doesn't know it yet. And Austin knows what I'm talking about. It's the people who don't realize that everyone knows who they are now. And when they walk in a room, everyone gets quiet. and they're the Walking Dead. And yes, Austin's right. Sometimes you can come back from that. And you know what? I'm not going to get deep into the thing. The other part that I thought that he did, which was wrong, was not only inviting us, but he also cheated. And I know cheating's not as big a deal to everyone now, but it's still a big deal to a lot of people. So when you're cheating on your spouse and that becomes public knowledge, understand you're going to lose fan bases. So if you don't want to keep morally correct with your marriage just because it's the right thing to do, think about what the public will later judge you on, because there are a lot of people who think cheating is a horrible thing. I am one of them. And I do look down on people who cheat on their significant others. Doesn't mean I'll hate them for life. It's just one of those things where you can't get it out of your head. Well, that's a person I can't trust because they can't live up to their commitments. Don't make those things public. You know, if you have to get a divorce, and I know all divorces can be ugly, but there's a way to handle it. There's a way to do it. I mean, the Winnie the Pooh voice actor, remember? He was accused. I forgot his name off the top of my head. But he was accused of doing some awful stuff. Turned out the wife lied. That happens in real life, but he handled it with grace. Simple statement. None of what has been said about me is true. Showed up to his convention where he was still going. Told everyone for an entire weekend, no, that's all fake. That's all fake. Never got nasty. Never wrote a nasty comment. Rode the wave. Same thing with the guy behind Birds of Prey. Not Birds of Prey, sorry. Suicide Squad and Guardians of the Galaxy. Gunn, I forgot his first name. What's his first name? James, yeah. Yeah, he was like, look, I made comments years ago. Yeah, I was trying to be a comedian. I was trying to be this comedian who pushed levels. He's like, looking back on it in this climate, sure, I'm sorry for what I said. I've also said sorry 5 years ago. Disney knew about those comments. I talked to Disney about it. I told Disney I had made those comments. I'm ashamed of them looking at them now. I can't go back and do anything else. And that was it. He never made another comment about it. And what happened? He got fired, hired by the opposite studio, and got rehired to do his job, apparently even with a raise. Sometimes having that integrity and just owning up to your stuff is so important. And that's where I think the Dirk situation went out of hand, is that he didn't own anything. He made it a worse mess. The entire thing started because he told men to do better. Like he was white knighting and it got blown up in his face. That's the situation. That's why everyone's mad. It wasn't that you did dumb things, Dirk. It's that you did dumb things and then you wiped a rag called dumb on top of it and you added some idiotic cleaner and it made it all worse. That's why everyone's mad at you, because you wrote a book, so it right or wrong. And we always wondered why you used right. We thought WRIT was a joke about you being a writer. We just realized now you don't know what the word RIGHT is. So we get it now. So that's all I have to say about Dirk. If you guys want to make a comment, you're more than welcome. Otherwise, we'll just skip over it because I'm not going to hide from a comment. Luke?
I agree. The stuff he was doing with the women is bad. Cheating on his wife is bad. His arrogance is bad. People not wanting to call him to the carpet is bad. I mean, it's just the whole situation is just kind of messed up, you know. I think that you should leave your bedroom out of your comics unless your comics is literally about your bedroom. So, you know, I just, you know, I feel like, you know, your personal life, who you are does matter. I feel your character, like who you portray yourself as and who you really are, that does matter. That's why I don't use a pseudonym when I write. That's everything I draw. It either is something that I will do or it's something that I won't do. I don't do a thing that I wouldn't normally do, but I do it under assumed name. I don't need that kind of junk because I just, Dirk was selling himself more than he was selling his property, and his deception caught up to him. Yep.
And that's, I mean, that's just it right there. Everything comes out. Look, I'm not saying I'm perfect. There are definitely people who in the past probably have a right to say that I've done wrong them. I've never been a perfect person, but I've never stepped in a place where I deliberately and intentionally went out to hurt someone and abuse them. And I don't have any worries about that. I am worried about people making up lies about me. I've already seen it happen, but you can only deal with it with the grace, you know, like just, okay, say what you're going to say, prove it. You know, it's like we go back to the whole thing. Disagree with someone online. What's the first thing you are as a Nazi? or a snowflake. Depends what side's attacking you. Because if it's the right side attacking you, you're a snowflake. Oh, it's because you're a millennial. Oh, no, it's because you're just this washy guy who's trying to kiss everyone's ass. No, I just don't agree with you. Because, see, I'm a moderate, which means I sit in the middle a lot of times on things. Even with like something like gun rights. I believe people should have gun rights, but I do believe we should limit the amount of guns. No one likes me because I don't sit on either side. You know, and that's a problem for some people because, like Austin said, now it's this world of you have to be in our group. I'm not going to be in your group, but I'm going to apologize for everything I did. And I think that goes into our next comment. That's why I'm bringing it up. It says, when you put your political agenda instead of art. See, that's a hard one to I'm going to leave it to you guys to talk about this a little bit. The reason I brought everything up is because we are our experiences, right? That's what we are. We're creators that take the world around us and we're going to make it in there. So who are we to tell anyone, in my opinion, what an agenda is? I think it's the audience's job. It's the fans. It's the people spending money. It's not my job to tell any creator what to create unless I'm asked or I bought it. If I buy it, then yes, I have every right to say what I'm going to say about it. Austin?
Yeah, people are way too sensitive for you to try to put anything of your own personal self besides the story that you're trying to tell. You know, it's back in the day you had, you know, Cap beating, you know, Adolf Hitler and you know, World War II and Nazis and all that sort of thing because they were the known bad guys. I mean, that was a quantifiable they're bad. Nowadays, someone could not like a certain senator and then another person likes the senator, well, then you must be blah, blah, blah. It's, again, I don't understand. Tell a story, make it so people are going to enjoy it because comic books, people want to escape. The world is effed up, man. I mean, there's even more so nowadays. There's so much stress and anger and sadness and you just want to escape for about 15 minutes and you want to read a book, you want to read a good story. Don't bring the outside world into it because the outside world right now is messed up. So why would you want to do that? So no, don't put your political agenda inside. Don't put anything belief-wise that you want to unless your story is a faith-based book, then you put your faith into it but it's a faith-based comic book. You know what I mean? If it is a political comic book, then there you go. Otherwise, but if it's about, you know, your fantasy characters, don't do that. It's just.
Well, I will agree and disagree with both of you, and here's how and why. I'll explain it, and you'll probably understand more when I do. There's a difference between agenda and expression. And I believe that every story that you do, even whether it be a story or music or art, any kind of creative outlet, I believe should have expression. And who you are is expressed in those things. So your belief spiritually, politically, the experiences that you've had as an individual growing up, as an adult, all of those things can play a part in that. And that's why 1 month after you see Adolf Hitler as Times Man of the Year, you see Captain America punching him out, because that was a political statement. And comics have always had some political statements in it. And that's why they've always been controversial among people. But they were not political agendas. They were expressions of the people who created them. What we have seen as of late is people taking a political agenda. So instead of telling a story and allowing their perspectives and some of their expressions to come out within the story, they are now molding stories around a political thing they want to talk about. There was a Spider-Man comic book back in the 90s where it was like an anti-smoking thing or like anti-pot or something. It was an entire agenda around this. It became very dorky, goofy, and it was forced, and it was clear that someone had paid someone to tell a message and to do it with Spider-Man. And that's an agenda. that breaks that breaks the characters. Every character in the book was about the same. It creates these extremes, one side to the next, and it just really just convolutes the story. And it's not true to the characters, the individual character arcs and stuff like that. So I believe expression of faith and politics can be in your comic if it's done well. But the moment you try to say something political specifically and decide that you're just going to wrap a story around that, it completely ruins the book or the story or the art or the music, because it becomes so heavy-handed towards the political agenda. There's a band I really like named the Avett Brothers. Love them. And they've got an anti-gun song. And then they've got another song that's like, kind of like a feminist song. And I was like, wow, those two songs are so politically driven. I love all of their other stuff, but man, those songs just feel out of place. It almost feels like an agenda rather than an expression, if you understand what I mean.
And it's always good to express yourself, but I do think that what we're going to touch on right now with Rex, don't talk about politics or you lose half your audience. Also, don't want to hear about your struggle as much as the result. My last bit of advice: follow your instincts. I don't know about the struggle, because a lot of people actually do like hearing about a creator's struggle in their journey. I think what you don't want to do is get too much into it. It's okay to talk about being in a divorce. It's bad to spend 2 hours bashing your ex on live television or live streams. I think there has to be but the politics thing's an interesting thing, because I've always said that. But I do think politics can be in your comics. I don't think that they can't. I just think they have to be a generic version. You should not have a character that looks like Trump. You can have a character that did overreach and did do things that you thought a current sitting politician has done, and use those in it. When you start making a Trump-like character, there goes agenda. You know what I mean? And you are stepping into that ground, and you have to be careful with that. As opposed to talking about this politician, you don't even have to show them, because you could let someone's mind race there. A really good writer doesn't have to say they're talking about Trump. They'll say everything, and you'll think that you're talking about Trump. And that's when you're doing your job right. But you never had to mention their name or any other politician. It doesn't have to be Trump. It could be Pelosi. It could be my governor. Oh, my goodness. The wonderful man that he is lately and the decisions he's making. I could make a story about that. And then I could, and you would know who I'm talking about when I left the beaches open, right? Everyone would be like, oh, I know what governor he's talking about. So you have to be clever with the way that you create things. You shouldn't be like, I hate Trump on your first page. Unless your whole book's about Trump, and then good luck, because you just pissed off anyone who's a Trump supporter. But you could have told that same story by replacing the character Trump with someone else. And even a Trump supporter might look at it differently, going, well, I know they're talking about Trump, but they make some good points. You didn't close them off right away, because you opened the door for the opportunity to entertain them. What do you think, Austin?
I don't talk about politics or even try to in my comic books, period. Like I said, I write my comic books so a person can escape from what's going on in their life and go to someplace else.
Yeah, I also try to stay away from all that stuff too. I think when you start leaning in too much to real life politics, that might parallel, like, oh, they're talking about Trump or they're talking about Pelosi. Your people are they're so ingrained in their leftist or rightist things, their groups, that they're going to hate you. So I tend to just I'm with you, Austin. I kind of lean away towards that. There's politics in there, but it's more of a political ideal rather than I'm a right wing or I'm a left wing kind of person. It's just this is how I feel we should treat each other.
Gotcha.
All right. And Austin, of course, you're here.
Yes, I'm here.
Be a Nazi racist. Now, here we go. Eric Armstrong makes this comment. And of course, I don't know why Nazi and racist have to go together. I thought they were dating those words. I have not married. I thought everyone just assumed that was exactly what it is. Nazis are racist. But my problem is the fact that people don't even understand what a Nazi is anymore. It's become such a generic word to just throw around. My family were tortured by Nazis. So I understand what a Nazi is, and I understand why there's a difference between the Nazis and the KKK. And that's history. And if you don't know that history, you shouldn't be using words that you don't understand. And that goes back to exactly every ugly word that we've had in our culture. A lot of people simply don't know them. They like to throw them around to hurt people. And I think even Eric bringing that up, and I left it on that so I could talk about this now, and I'm not trying to make Eric feel bad. I already told him this. Don't use a word you don't understand. And I told it to him directly, and I'll say it on this. When your family's been tortured by something, you know what that is, but the entire world should know the difference between a Nazi, someone KKK, an anti-Semitic person, and just a racist person. There are big differences. And the reason you need to know that is to understand that those words have meanings and they can hurt people in a way that you don't want. Like Austin had said earlier, someone says something about you. All it has to do is stick with the right group and it becomes a fact. Doesn't matter how fake it is. So don't throw around things that are not factual that you can't back up and prove. Because if you can't prove it, then you're becoming what is called a fascist. You're making up agendas to actually perpetuate your idealisms, and you're not caring what you're actually doing to other people because your methodology is more important than anything else. And that's exactly what a fascist is. Go look it up.
And in a way, you're more of a Nazi than the person you're calling a Nazi by doing that.
No. A Nazi is different than a fascist. They do. There's overlay, but there is a difference between the two. And a lot of it comes down to politics. The Nazis was an organization. It was a political organization. I could go into it, but this isn't the program for it. The point is just use the word correctly. And I don't care. Luke is fine because they are very close, and I give Luke credit. But there is a slight difference, and I'm just
there's a difference. But when you start calling someone a Nazi because of your fascist agenda, you become more like a Nazi than the person you're calling a Nazi.
Oh, absolutely.
You then at that point have more in common with the Nazi racist than the Nazi racist that you're calling that. And
it's the polarizing of sides. Now I'm right, so I can do anything I want because my side is right. That's exactly what the Nazis thought.
Yeah.
Understand the good guys are the ones who don't hit as hard as they can. They don't do anything they can. Everyone thinks Batman is this really scary dude. He's scarier than you realize because he leaves them alive. He hurts them in a way where they will survive. Remember that the next time you think of Batman. He knows how to hurt them, and he's hurting them just enough to do what he wants them to do. That's scary MFer.
I think the other thing about a statement like what Eric said, and I get kind of, because that's the thing. Yeah, if you're a Nazi and a racist, you're going to kill your career. At least you should anyway. But the problem is those terms have become such buzzwords in our culture from one side to the other to where everyone's being called a Nazi racist, whether they are or not. And it's, it just makes my brain go numb when I start to see that stuff. I don't even need to go down into the 20 replies on that comment because I know what it's going to say. I've seen it played out 1,000 times. And that was just last week. That's my thought.
It's diluted. These words that are supposed to have very significant meaning have been diluted.
Yeah.
And you can have a list of different words that have meanings that are very poignant that are now being diluted because of just everyday use, whatever.
It's the same thing that Dirk Manning did. He diluted promises. He made promises to people. He made promises to his wife. He made promises to women for their career and for their relationship. And he broke those promises. He diluted the promises. And I think that's what happens a lot of times. And that's where the trust breakdown. And that's a great way to kill your career is to cheapen your words. Words matter.
Very much so. They matter. And not only do they matter, just understanding that you made a mistake and humbly accepting responsibility and honestly apologizing for said thing. You know what I mean? And with the apologizing, work to do better because of that. Don't just say something because, that's what they want to hear. No. Are you sorry because you got caught, or are you sorry because of what you did? That's the big thing. So many people apologize because they got caught doing it. They don't apologize because they know they did something wrong.
Sorry, I got busted.
I apologize all the time because there's things that whether I'm saying or doing, and I don't mean to do it, and it's very trivial, but I apologize either way. And it drives my wife nuts because she's like, you don't have to apologize for that. Because I'm always saying I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry you're feeling bad. We didn't do anything about it. I'm so sorry about that. And I am sorry. I am sorry for those girls. I am sorry for Dirk because he brought himself into that situation. And he could have handled it much better than he did. And I'm very sorry that everyone's now being affected because of poor choice and poor reaction on his part. And it's disappointing. I don't know him too much, and I don't know what's going on, so I'm not going to comment on it. But that as a whole is just, it's how it could have been handled could have been so much better. And it was a defining moment. You know what I mean? People, comic book guys, have moments that you either are defined by that moment or the moment defines you. And I know in my career, up until the last 6 or 7, 8 years, I let a lot of moments define me. I made a lot of poor choices, not deliberately, just poor choices, poor way of acting, you know what I mean? That I had to learn from my mistakes. And nowadays, people do these things and they apologize, but they're not learning from their mistakes. They're saying what they think people want to hear to make a quick fix and they can move on and do whatever. That's the biggest problem. That's the biggest career killer. Whether it's small, whether it's large. You make a mistake, you own the mistake, you apologize, you try to do better. That's it. That's all you do. And then it might take some time and you're going to have to work hard and rebuild. But sometimes that's what you have to do. That's what I did. And there's certain relationships that are done permanently damaged. No fault of mine. It is what it is. And that's my career. I could have been a whole lot more involved in comic books if I had made better choices. But I had things going on in my life that influenced how I reacted to things. Poor marriage. You know what I mean? You know, having kids, non-supportive wife, blah, 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 blah. Ultimately, but it's my choice, my decisions, my reactions to things, and I made mistakes. I apologize for these things. You know what I mean? So people should be able to tell the truth. People should be able to just not say words for the sake of saying things just without having a full understanding of what you're saying, because all it's doing is making a knee-jerk reaction and you're getting comments. Whereas if you actually think about what you're saying and you speak specifically on a topic, it makes more sense and you can actually have a discussion, whether as not a bicker back and forth, which is what we get nowadays. Sorry,
yeah, Ryan. I would love to see Dirk restored and you know, his relationships rectified and those kind of things. You know, that's the kind of stuff I like to see. I don't like to see people fail and go through those things. I think it's better for all of us if you can see people come from underdog to being restored. That's a story of grace and redemption. I think we all like to see.
Amen.
But it definitely comes from, you know, there has to be that start, you know, and there has to be that humility in there. And I think when you start treating people like they're not real or that you're better than them, that's the start of your failure. And I think that's kind of been the theme through all of the things that we've said, whether it be a political agenda, whether it be a religious agenda, whether it be this or that, or I don't like I know you criticize my work, but I don't care. I don't really think I don't value you as a person, so I don't value your opinion. I think it just comes down to that: is how do we value other human beings? Are they important to us? You know, are they just a commodity?
All right, Phil Locklear, I have to ask him how to pronounce his name. I always get it wrong. It's always about what the fans want. Without the fans, it does not matter what is made in the industry if no one is going to purchase it. And that brings us up to a topic which we have skated. And I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but I do want to address the Comicsgate situation. I don't want to get into the politics behind it, but I will say this, and I'll let you guys all address that. I think it's wrong to make an entire group guilty for a few people's actions. I think that if you don't like Comicsgate, that's okay. But for you to tear down and spread lies about people in an entire, because I know a lot of people who are Comicsgate who do not go with the war campaign and nasty name calling. They just want to make their own comics their way. And there's a big section of it who has kicked out very bad operators in the last couple of years. It doesn't mean that I support everything that they do. I'll never support any group's everything. That's why I'm a moderate. I think everyone's wrong at a time and everyone's right at a time. The point I'm making right now is the fact that there are people actively going around saying, if you're Comicsgate, then you're a bad person. I don't subscribe to that. I would ask a person, and this is something that's missing right now, ask a person, well, why are you Comicsgate? What about Comicsgate attracts you? No one asks a question. We all jump and like our hair is on fire. Oh my God, you're Comicsgate, the end of the world. They torture puppies, and they don't torture puppies. But I heard it on Facebook. Who did you hear it from? Oh, I can't tell you. See, now we can't have a conversation. If you can't tell me who you heard it from, then don't bring it up. Okay? Don't bring it up, because it's just word of mouth being shared by a bunch of, and I said it today, the creators are like are bitchy little yentas. They want to sit around and complain about everything and never give an answer to anything because they enjoy just the negativity of it. And I think that's why Comicsgate's so popular, because people like a boogeyman. And they've made Comicsgate a boogeyman, and some people like to become Comicsgate, but they never really believe or even understand what Comicsgate is. They're just trying to be part of a popular group, and it's such a mess that no one really understands it anymore. So that's my 2 cents about it. Again, don't name call something you don't understand. You know, I'm not saying they're a perfect group, and no, I'm not asking for membership. But I wouldn't turn anyone away who said that they were Comicsgate. I'd simply ask them why, and then I'd just go on with having a relationship with them, because I don't build echo chambers. I build friendships. What do you guys think about the whole Comicsgate thing?
I don't know anything about it. I purposely made it my point to not understand what the hell's going on with it. I know that there's a couple of people that me personally, I don't like at all. Not just because of what they're believing in, but them as a person. And I just pray for them, honestly. I'm not going to, again, I've got too much going on in my life, in the world in general, for me to try to focus on a certain group of people and their whatever, and then this group and what they're doing. You know what I mean? I just try to treat everyone how I want to be treated, with respect, with love, until they give me a reason not to. That's it. So when it comes to Comicsgate, I don't know, because I don't want to know. I don't want to know anything about it, because I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. And the people that are opposed to it, again, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. Because when you get personal opinions and personal agendas that are into anything, whether it's political parties or whatever, you don't get the true facts. So, I don't want to spend the time and energy, to be honest with you.
I do have a little bit to say about Comicsgate. I've been accused of being Comicsgate, mostly because of my faith in doing comics. They assume that I'm Comicsgate, because early on, Comicsgate was a bunch of people that were tired of the political agenda. They were tired of the big companies treating the fans like they were stupid. And they didn't want to be a part of that. I mean, there was people that actually got fired because they were either a Christian or because they voted a certain way. And I just think that kind of stuff, as a libertarian, I just think that kind of stuff's stupid. So I have friends that are involved with that, and that they, they're good people. They're making money over there. I mean, I'm not anti anything. I'm pro comics, and I'm pro making good comics. But I'm not anti anybody. So I've been accused, because I won't denounce them or anything, that, oh, well, you must be Comicsgate. Well, I'm not anything. I'm like Rob. I'm a moderate. I'm an equal opportunity offender. Give me a second, I will eventually make you mad at me. It's just going to happen. I will say, I've done work for Comicsgate people. Some of them are nice people that pay their artists and pay their letterers. I normally do lettering for people, kind of in that group. There's one or two of them that I've done lettering for. they're not all bad people. And I don't think a lot of people know really what's going on over there. And it's really one of those things where I know some SJWs technically, and I know some Comicsgate people technically. And I just don't know, I don't know that it's as parted as what people think it is. I mean, it's just people making comics, in my opinion.
What's SJW?
Social justice warriors. It's the left, like the far left version where, it's, yeah.
Oh,
So yeah, so Austin definitely doesn't know any of that stuff.
I never heard of them.
Yeah. I mean, they're making, I'm good friends with a guy named, not good friends, I'm friends with, on Twitter, and we've talked. A guy named Edwin Boyette. He's he was involved with Comicsgate, and he's a man of God. I like him.
Luke, I don't want to go too far into this just because we are running out of time.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
I appreciate everything you said, but we do have some other comments to go through. But one day, we should probably actually do a panel on Comicsgate itself and see if we can get some Comicsgaters on to actually defend their side and maybe get some social justice warriors and just sit back and see what happens. Maybe they could actually have an adult conversation. That'll be a goal of mine in the future. Make it a round table, not even a panel. Make it a round table. Maybe we can get people talking. Because like you said, if you don't denounce them, it's, again, one of those things. I say positive things about Comicsgate because I know some people in it. I won't mention their names because I don't want to out anyone. I'm not sure that they are out as that, and I don't want to hurt their careers.
Isn't it sad that you can't out, like, you have to feel like, oh well, I don't want to out them, like just because they support one thing or another. It's just crazy to me. But
again, I don't agree with all of it, and that's why I don't join groups, because no group's completely right. I like to be part of networks of different ideas. I don't like echo chambers. And I think any group eventually becomes an echo chamber if you give it enough time. Just my personal opinion. Kenneth asked, how can we tune in? That's easy. I already gave it to him. Let's see. We have, assuming you are after a career. This came up yesterday. I'll quickly touch on it. Some people make comics. They don't want to be part of the industry. Then this isn't a conversation for you. It's that simple. This is a conversation about people who want a career. So that's the nicest way to just put it. This wasn't meant for you. I appreciate your commenting, but this wasn't just for you. It's not your type of show, and that's fine. Paul Tuma says, join the industry during its 25-year running recession would be my first answer. It's a labor of love for almost all of us. I don't know if it's a recession or a resurgence right now, to be honest with you. And I'll ask you guys just real quick. Do you think it's a recession or a resurgence? Because I think Kickstarter is proving that it's a resurgence of comics. What do you think, Austin?
I think it's just starting as resurgence. I think indies are now starting to come back into the fold with Kickstarter and a couple of different things. It's been a recession for a long time, and I picked a perfect time to start back in 1994.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was a slow decline for a while. I think.
Wait a minute, you're right at the beginning of his supposed actual.
Oh yeah, it was perfect timing.
Perfect. You're perfect for this comment.
I will say that I think comics are leveling, and you're going to see an uptick. I think Kickstarter is going to, and Indiegogo is open up the doors for more people, and people are going to be more open to get direct mailings again. Back in the 90s and early 2000s, Marvel and DC did a lot of direct mail. You could order your books and it gets shipped directly to you. You didn't go to a comic book store, and I thought that was really cool. I think you might find that there's going to be more direct mailings from actual smaller publishers as well. I don't think it's going to be it's not a great resurgence right now, but I'm more hopeful and confident about the comic book industry in the past couple of years than I have been in quite a while. What do you think, Luke?
I think it's a resurgence. We're seeing better quality stuff come out from the little guys, the independent publishers and stuff, the smaller press people. I think that you're going to start seeing Diamond pay more attention to them because now there's more avenues, and people have had 2 months to where they found there's other ways to get comic books. And so I think that there's going to be a little more competition in the whole distribution realm of things. And so I think it's a resurgence. I think it's a good time to be making comic books, especially if you're willing to work hard and help one another.
All right. We're at the 1 hour mark. Does anyone have to leave?
I don't
I'm
have
just going
to.
to refill my beverage, but I'm good.
All right, so I got a hot tag. If you want to go refill your beverage, we have someone coming in. It's Varian, the Kid Grant. He's bringing us a topic. Please introduce yourself, young man.
Hello, everybody. It's Varian Grant here, co-publisher of Last Call Comics and founder of Indie Vote Media LLC. Started writing comics way back in 2008, and first book ever published was a book called Black and White Interior book called Psycho Sirens. I am a father, a husband, a geek, a sensitivity reader, artist, occasional actor, all those good things. And I've come here to just ruin everything. I don't like what I'm hearing.
Well, Sarah said hello, and she said direct mailings would be good. Not everyone is near a comic book shop. And direct mailing kind of goes in with what you're about to talk about because it kind of affects the ability to direct mail, doesn't it? Or reach any audience. So go ahead, explain why you're here, my friend.
Yeah. You know, I've seen the topic, and the topic said that how do you ruin your career? Well, there's a problem. There are a lot of people in the industry rather than I'm sorry, I just got a message, but rather than push their career forward, they want to parrot the industry. Rather than they want to parrot Marvel and DC. And I guess they do that by, hey, I know I can look at this guy at Marvel and this guy at DC and this woman who works at DC and this woman who works at Marvel, and I'll follow their lead, whatever they do. So if they tell me this person is bad, I'm going to, I'm going to block that person. I had a individual come to me and they asked me the other day. They said, "What's a blockchain and how do I use one?" And I said, well, "Don't do that. Well, what do you want to run around a blockchain for?" Well, because I want to block a group of people. Anybody that follows this person, I want to block them. And I said, "Do you realize?" I said, "Well, I went to that person's profile and I showed different people, different organizations on Twitter that were following that person. And I said, now there are 7 news outlets right there that you won't have access to won't have access to you because you block them on Twitter. And then you'll go to other social media and you'll block them there too. That's a good way to ruin your career by trying to be like, your favorite comic book celeb and preemptively blockchain people who haven't done anything to you. If you want to block somebody on social media, be my guest. That's totally your right. But don't do it. Don't blockchain. Blockchaining is weak.
What exactly is blockchain? Is there like an option? Does someone follow it?
So let's say I don't like the Janowskis. Those are all his fans. That's all Austin's fans. All of them. They're horrible. No,
all 12 of them.
Yeah. And I feel that anybody that follows that guy is horrible. I go on his Twitter and with the block bot, what I'll do is I'll say anybody that follows him, they can't follow me. And what that does is not anybody that say Luke follows him, but Luke doesn't follow me. Luke will never know until he goes to try to follow me, and when he finds out he's been blocked from seeing any of my tweets. What'll happen for me, or what'll happen to people who follow us both, is one day they'll look at my tweets, or my tweets will just disappear from their timeline. It'll just make it appear as if I don't tweet anymore. It'll tell the person I'm blocked. And let me tell you guys, nothing sucks more than, it's kind of offensive, when you go to someone's page, especially there's a person who used to work in Marvel that I know personally. And I knew them when they were a cashier at a local comic book store. Okay. I knew them when they worked for a local comic book publishing company here in Michigan. And it sucks when I went to that person's Twitter recently just to, I've been following them for years and went to go see something and that you are blocked. I've done nothing. And the other thing too is you won't know. Maybe it's not a bot blocking. Maybe it's not, a bot. Maybe they blocked you personally. But even the layman doesn't know that. They're going to take offense to that. Did you block me personally? Did you do a block bot? Did I get caught up in that? Dan Slott has forever blocked me. That's okay, Dan. That's okay. I forgive you, Dan. If you're listening out there, I forgive you.
It's funny because Twitter tells you, but Facebook doesn't. Like I thought Dirk Manning died from coronavirus. One day I went to go look for him and he was gone. I thought Facebook just took you off when you died, and then when they found out you were dead, you didn't have a Facebook anymore. And someone says, "Oh no, he's alive. He just blocked you because you called him out for the things he did." And you asked questions. I was like, "Oh, okay." I would have preferred he was dead, but I guess he's dead to me now. You know, like one of those moments. Yeah, it's weird.
I think when that happens, Facebook will just like they'll block you and you can't even see the person's profile. Twitter tells you have been blocked.
Twitter's like trying to start shit. Like,
yeah,
ooh, this person doesn't like you. What are you gonna do about that?
Exactly.
Another account. You can do that with Twitter, right? So we can have 50 million new users every week.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, you can just sign out and go look at the person. You can go look at their account, but I got
I've been blocked before, and I don't care. I guess that's for people that think like I'm going to block you, and they think it's going to hurt my feelings, but it doesn't.
But don't you agree though that, and I guess I'll talk to you, Austin, and you, Luke. Don't you agree that if like Indievolt, I run a news organization that covers independent comics. If all of a sudden you block everybody that follows someone, you've made it that much harder for me to go see that new tweet you just put out.
That's a bad decision.
Yeah.
Especially if you're wanting to gain information, or if you're wanting to get followers, if you're trying to get people to know who you are. If you start blocking everyone that's associated to something, let me tell you. I think it's a bad move. I think it's stupid, and I also think it's petty. I think it's petty because you're like, screw you and the horse you rode in town on. I hate you and all of your friends. Screw you guys. I hate you. And I'm like, that's just stupid.
I think it's petty, and I'm Prince Petty, and I think it's petty. I'm like, so there's something to be said about that. Austin, I know you're going to say something. I'm sorry. I think I cut you off.
No, it's okay. I just, again, and you weren't here, Brian, for it. The way that people are today, it's like, oh, you don't have the color boot? Forget it. I don't like you or your family or your friends. Forget it. It's all done. Rah. What? We can disagree on something. It's okay. We both like football, right? Yeah. Well, there you go. Now we both like something. Which team do you like? It doesn't matter. Well, do you like this team? No, I don't like. I hate you. Bam, burn in hell. No, come on now. We both like football, so let's baby step it. People are so quick to just fire and brimstone. It's like from 0 to 10, like that. You know what I mean? So blocking if you're going to block someone, you want to block someone because you fundamentally do not like who this person is and what they are saying. You don't want to just follow them, just forget it, just want nothing to do with them. But just blanket blocking, you don't know who's a part of that or who you want to talk to or where you want to find out. I'm just old, I guess. I just don't get it. If you have a problem with someone, you should just go and talk to the person. Don't block them. Just talk to the person. If you don't like it, then just don't listen to what they have to say. I
do use that block button on Facebook sometimes. Like people get to go in, I'm like, yeah, I don't want to hear your stuff. So I don't have to listen to you.
In all fairness, blocking is sometimes important. Look, we're talking about it, but it is a great tool to stop bullying. And I've had some people who reported every one of my posts, found out who they were because they ran their mouth behind my back, and I was able to block them and then block their sock puppet account and actually report it and get that removed from Facebook. The biggest problem with most of these people is they run their mouth after they do something. Well, I like the Joker. Ooh, do you know what I did? Ooh, I have to tell you all what I've done. Calm down, Beavis. No one cares. It's freaking Facebook. But I do see what Varian's point is. Like, if you're getting blocked when you didn't do anything and you're guilty by association, then aren't we all guilty of everything because we're all humans? Eventually, we're going to have 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, right? Eventually, you're there. You've been separated, and you know someone who knows Kevin Bacon. It's just a thing. I don't understand how it happened, but it has happened. Everyone knows Kevin Bacon. So chaining is ugly. But you know someone who knows Kevin Bacon. That's the thing. You're only 6 people away from Kevin Bacon.
And do you really want Kevin Bacon not being able to follow you?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, Kevin Bacon is we can get Kevin Bacon followers. I mean, but once again, you just made that's a good point though. I mean, you're missing out on so much because you ran this block bot. That's just now so many people can't get access to you on that platform. So
I've never heard of a block bot.
see,
I don't know much.
I like you more and more. The longer we talk, the
do.
more I like you.
yeah,
I don't know.
you got to get on. You got to get on Twitter more, man. You may have been block botted. You have Twitter, right?
Yeah, I do.
So yeah, I'm gonna send you a list of names, and I
Okay.
want you to go tweet, go look them up on Twitter and see if you've been blocked. You may have already been blocked.
Okay. I'll just sit here and drink my beverage then. We're all good. Whatever.
I like his attitude. Like, all right, block me. You kids do what you want to do. You crazy kids, block.
It's okay.
I don't.
It's okay to you go and you say, POTUS blocked me.
See, then I'm just like, I'm surprised it took that long. That's always it. Like, I don't use the block button a lot. I just say something in return and I offend people. And I usually do the best trick in the book. Tell the truth about them. Tell them who they are. Really angry.
I think I was online earlier and I seen that the White House officially has roaches. Now, I know what's going to happen. He's going to blame the previous administration.
Oh, no.
Yeah. It was no.
On this show. No, thank
We
you.
just talked about this.
Andy Bolt is on tonight at 9 p.m. You
That's
can
right.
have plenty of
I
fun
will
with that.
say, I do unfollow. I do unfollow. I do unfollow people because I don't want to just block them, but I'm like,
Unfollow fine.
I unfollow people because I just, if they complain about the same 3 things for like the past 3 weeks, I'm like, okay, and I go back to them in a few weeks and see if they're still doing it, and then okay, but I don't block people.
All right. So
I have one more person send me that pandemic thing. I swear I'm gonna freak out.
So here we go. George Mathis says PC bullshit and SJW agenda. Yep, about covers it. And let's also put in on top of that some of the right wing stuff that gets too far, some of the right wing rhetoric that is dangerous, such as like the pandemic. That's coming out of the right wingers.
Yeah.
So let's blame all sides. Everyone's guilty when they're trying to control you. Remember, those are tools for control.
There's extreme idiots on both sides, man. I mean, stupid doesn't have a political affiliation. It just goes around all willy-nilly.
Or just be like Mark Wade and ruin your career. Last I heard, Mark Wade was still rich.
Yeah, Mark's fine.
I didn't hear he was ruined. I hear a couple fans talking about him being ruined, but I'm sure you'll see something from Mark Wade in the near future, and I'm sure it's going to make a lot of money. Rex says most of you are chasing customers like they're Bigfoot. They are there. It's not that they aren't buying. You aren't selling. I was that in retailing long ago. You have to promote. I don't know where that came from. That's not a ruin your career moment. That's a totally different topic. So I think we're just going to avoid that. And not catering to trolls. That's an interesting one. I'm going to yell at Jax right now and pass this we'll start. I'm trying to get this to work right. We'll start with Austin, go around the room. Do you think that you have to cave and cater to the social pressures? I obviously don't, because I keep doing things to give them back what they're giving me. I return to sender all the time, and I do it in a clever way that makes them so angry, and it makes me so happy in my heart. What about you, Austin?
No, I don't cater to trolls. I will listen politely to what they have to say, and if they're unhappy with something, then just don't buy what I'm selling. There's plenty of other things you can kind of buy on, and there's a lot of people that hopefully will be interested in what I'm doing. I just, again, I said it before, I'll say it again. You can't make everyone happy. There's always going to be someone that's going to be unhappy with what you're doing. If you're focusing on 2 or 3 people, you're going to miss the other 100 that like overall what you're putting out. So do your story, do your artwork, elevate your craft, make the quality can stand up against the big 2, and people will buy quality stuff. And if you keep putting out quality stuff and you act as a professional, then people will hopefully garner more and more in what you're doing. And that's basically it. So no, trolls they're lonely people underneath a bridge who no one wants to hug or give them Christmas presents. So just feel bad for them. What about you, Luke?
Trolls. I have friends who are trolls. I have Christian friends who are trolls. I just don't engage with them. I really don't, because really at the end of the day, what a troll wants you to engage in a battle with them. And I have other things. I have other quests that I'm on. I'm too busy to be pulled by a low-level troll that's probably just going to waste time. I have other quests to be about. The princess needs saving, so that's where I'm going.
Gotcha.
Varian?
Okay, so I can probably be accused of some light level trolling here and there.
What?
Here and there.
Oh my God. Guys, I've got a confession to make.
Yeah. I probably. It was in good fun. I've trolled a few people. There was a comment today. A young lady was asking for money because if you fit 3 types of things, your very existence was an act of violence against her. And
no, not this.
I'm not gonna say what, but I fit 2 of the 3 problems she
Is this
had.
that thing that you sent me earlier?
Yeah. I fit 2 of the 3 things she had, and then I added a buddy on there of mine. I added him because he's on Twitter, and he was like, and he put up a helpful link for her to go check out, and then that was, and then I put LOL, and that was trolling. Okay, but yeah, I mean those things. I still haven't done it. I need to donate $10 to her Patreon, $10 a month for my transgressions against her. And Luke, I expect to see your 15. We'll get Austin's 15 and Rob's 2. I don't know.
Even though he can't even make this work.
Yeah,
I can't even.
This is the dad of me shaking my head.
It's $5 per transgression against her. But yeah, I mean, I have been accused of doing some trolling, and I will tell you guys this. Sometimes I have, but I don't go. I'm not going to go so far where I'm starting to. Dox people or invite their, involve their children in the situation. I mean, I might pick on someone who says something stupid, but on both sides too. I'm a troll with no friends. I don't even have a posse of trolls I can roll back to. I troll trolls. It's horrible.
You're a loner troll.
Yes. Those are the worst kind. We become ogres.
Okay, so apparently we found Varian needs a support system of fellow trolls. So, like, why don't you stop being a damn troll, Varian?
No,
Varian wants to be your king, trolls. So if you're looking for anything specific, so if you're looking for one to follow,
yes.
Calling all war campaigners.
He'll post his 3 things that you need to get done, $5 per thing. He'll put his PayPal address down.
I will admit though, you don't want to feed the trolls, and you do not want to really start engaging. If you make your whole existence about engaging them, then you might have a problem. I know Rob can't resist, but
no, I don't troll the trolls. I just answer them in a way that infuriates them because I talk about them.
Yeah.
Talk about what they want to talk about. I start talking about them, and I start answering them in a professional way that they can't win. I'm called like mayo all the time online, and I'm like, I'm more like ketchup. Like I do the dad thing where I take something bad and I make it my own and I have fun with it. Like someone will be like, fuck you. And I'm like, oh, it's been so long. I'm so glad you're offering. This quarantine has been hell. They're like, what the hell are you talking about? I was like, weren't you offering sexual advances on me? And they're like, what's wrong with you? So much, honey. Oh my God, do you have time? Can we talk? And they're like, I'm blocking you. And I'm like, what happened? We were gonna be lovers.
Friends. I thought we were just getting along.
Yeah.
But I mean, I have my fun with trolls. I do.
Yeah, I mean, you never go out of your way, but if someone says something to you, you can be witty back to them and quick banter, and you think you're having a good time. Then they get upset with you, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were having fun. I thought we were enjoying a quick banter back and forth. I'm blocking you. Oh, well, I'll miss you. Okay, whatever.
Sarah says, wow, that blockchaining. I had never heard of that. I know a little bit about chaining, but not really the block part.
Never.
Oh gosh.
Sarah says it must be a popular thing if they are created a black bot to blanket block people. Wow, that's actually a tongue twister. I've blocked people on Facebook, but have never blocked everyone that they're associated with. Right? Like there are groups that absolutely hate me that are literally have names that I won't block them all because you know what? Sometimes you have a conversation with someone, they change your mind or you change their mind. I've always said it. I'd be friends with the Nazi, and my first goal of being friends with the Nazi is to get them to stop being a fucking Nazi. How else do you stop hate? You remember the I forgot his name, but there was this dude. He looked like he was from The Office. The black guy from The Office looks just like him. He actually joined the KKK online and actually got like 15 of them to stop being in the KKK. There's a hero. A monument should be made of that guy, proving that you can change people's minds by just being human. So I don't know. That's my thing on it. That's why I tease trolls, because I want them to giggle. Because sometimes you make a troll giggle and they're like, "You're actually funny," and I'm like, "Oh, stop! You're so sweet." So I think there's always an opportunity to make friends, even when they're saying they're going to kill you. Because sometimes, I understand, hate is just so close to love. It's just a light switch. You just got to flip it the other way. I can just see Luke now being a pastor thinking about that in one of his sermons. He's like, that's actually kind of powerful.
I imagine that Luke stops doing his sermons and he'll be thinking, and then something Rob says crosses his mind. He's like, Rob.
It's okay, Luke. I'll say to him, we're just going to pray for you, Rob.
There you go.
Hey, what are you putting in the toilet? I'll be right back.
Sorry.
That's awesome. He's like, your ducks, Dad. You don't want any of these.
Things you never thought you'd have to say until you have kids.
Yeah.
What are you putting in the toilet?
Yeah.
I will say that there's so many different things you can do to damage your career. Another thing too is too much negativity. Having something negative to say about everybody and every experience. At some point, people start to wonder if it's you. I've had several situations with individuals, and you wouldn't know it. I've sat on online panels with individuals that I've have grievances with. There's a time to air those grievances, and there's a time to keep it professional and figure out if it's something that you guys can really, it's because something can be fixed with a conversation. Where both parties come and sit down and have a conversation. Outside of a Comic-Con, maybe if possible. I think that I had a couple years ago. I had a gentleman, two guys who had an issue, and they one was going around just everything he could say about the guy to anybody, and finally, the truth got out there, and the guy who was spewing the most, this guy did this and this and that, he's no longer in the industry because people were like, that wasn't true. You really lied. You made the situation seem as if it was a lot worse than it actually was. And I think being very careful who you're talking about when you're talking. I mean, don't get me wrong. If someone does something wrong to you, that's fine. But he had a problem with everybody. Go ahead, Austin.
I don't know if it's done nowadays, but back in the 90s and early 2000s, if you were not professional, it did not carry yourself in a professional way, you would have burned your bridges and you would get blackballed in the industry. I know a bunch of different comic book people that got blackballed because of how they treated their editors, how they treated their publishers, how they treated their fans. And they just said, no, I'm done. We're not going to deal with you. There's other people that are just as good that will work with us and not give us such a headache.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You guys have both said how you treat people and how you handle those situations is key. So we're actually on Rob's show. He was doing Kickstarter pause, and someone was watching. They watched my Kickstarter, and there was the accusation and that my stuff was traced. And so I had an opportunity. There was two choices on how to handle that situation, and we tried to choose a professional way to do it. To the point, it's like, I can see where maybe he might thought that, and so I just addressed the situation. Well, here's my process. Here's my work. Obviously, it's not traced. And me and this individual we're friends now. So it's like, it could have been I could have been like, screw you, and all that kind of stuff. And could have made it way bigger than it was, but it was an opportunity for me to be able to show off, what I do in my process, and now, we've got, now I've got another advocate instead of an enemy. And I think, when you handle yourself professionally, your circle grows instead of shrinks. And that's what happens when you start to when you don't handle yourself professionally in those situations. Some people, and I don't know, maybe they've been locked in their basement drawing for too long, or they just don't know how to handle interpersonal relationships. And, when you get out and try to sell and try to do business with other people, you're not always going to agree with everybody. You're not always going to get along.
Nope.
But conduct yourself in such a way to where people can walk away saying good things about you. Even if someone else is trying to say bad things, be like, well, I've never seen that come from them. So that's my thought.
All right, guys, I'm back.
All right.
Did you get your car keys?
You
I
know,
have to sign off, guys.
what's that?
I have to sign off.
Oh, okay. Well, tell them where they can follow you.
So, how to follow me? You can find me on Facebook, Austin Janowski, Instagram, Janowski 2000. No, Austin Janowski for Instagram, Janowski 2002 for Twitter. Look up Zombies Were Human 2 on Facebook and also Instagram. I am thinking about running a short Kickstarter for the comic book intros for Volume 1 and 2, and then we're going to relaunch the Volume 2 Kickstarter in June, and I will let everyone know more about it. But if you want to check out some really amazing artwork with some really amazing creators, go to Zombies Were Human 2 on Facebook to check out all the super neat stuff, and I appreciate it.
Thanks for being on today, man. I appreciate it.
No problem, guys. Thank you.
See you later, dude. I was like, Luke disappeared. I was like, you got mad at me.
That was all you, dude.
Yeah, I must have hit the wrong thing when I was trying to shift back. So, Sarah, let's see, where are we at? Sarah made a good comment. She says, it must be popular thing if they, oh no, wait, sorry, we read that. Trolls want to get attention, exactly like what Luke said. I was just saying that they want the battle of negativity, don't feed them. But if you're not giving them something negative, then they don't strive on it and they run away. Because like you said, a lot of them are just trying to look for it, as opposed to, and this is an important thing, and we were talking about this earlier, Varian, and Varian's been keeping me up to date, and I've been keeping it up to date. We're watching bad operators now. We're starting to make them known, and it really does depend. There's one person teeing up on his thing. I got something to share with him, and I actually have to talk to him about whether he wants me to come on tonight and talk about it, because there's a controversy starting with the creator. And we're doing this not to punish people, but we want to hold people to let people know that there's someone out there paying attention. Because for far too long, I mean, no offense, Luke, but you know a guy, and I know you're helping him do the right thing, but how long had that slipped through a crack?
3 years, man.
Yeah, I mean, and there's no one looking, and now suddenly me and Varian are starting to look, and we don't have to look far. We keep kicking over a rock, finding all these bad operators, and now we're getting why people are getting tired of Kickstarter.
There's more bad ones than there are good ones right now, to be entirely honest with you. And what it does, it tears down the reputation of the entire industry.
Yeah, I just got a package today. A book I kickstarted. I funded on Kickstarter. I got the book today. I don't want to dox myself, but it came in. It was in this bag, which is, this is one of those little poly bags. It's not so much, but in this, and the comic was just shoved in a comic book bag, and in this, no backing board, no cardboard type from being bent. In fact, nothing on the package even says, "Hey, please don't bend." It was
Did the comic itself have a board and bag?
The comic had a comic. It was shoved in a comic book bag, but there was no board.
Wow.
Which is that's uncalled for. I mean, and
this creator, this isn't his first Kickstarter.
No. On the same token, I ordered another book, an older book that from a comic book that I like. I ordered a pristine copy because the copy I have has been an old Tomb Raider Witchblade comic, but it came in a really rigid board with this, and the comic is boarded and bagged. All it took, and the cost is a lot different. The Kickstarter campaign that I backed was about $15-16. This book cost $5. Shipping was $3. So,
and I'll call someone out,
Mhm.
but I'll call them out in a good way,
Mhm.
because positivity helps as well. So this is from, and I'm not going to dox myself. And doxing, by the way, Varian can explain that in a second, because that is an important thing for people to know. Look at that tape on the side.
Is that custom tape too on the other side?
This is custom tape.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, this is from Joel Rodriguez.
Mhm.
I haven't opened it yet. I just haven't gotten to it yet with the mail situation. I like to open them on air if I can, and I'll get to it eventually. But like, this is kind of, and I do the same thing, except I push the tape in now. For a little while I was doing this, and I saw someone show me a package. This blew out while it was shipping, so I now stick my finger in it. I like it because it keeps any dirt or particles out of it while it's shipping. Because those who don't know, the shipping places are pretty dirty. I've been in a mail place. They're not the cleanest in the world. So you got that taped up. The standard, which is now I believe this. I don't see their title on it. I have to open it up.
It looks like a Gemini mailer.
It looks like a Gemini. I know there's knockoffs now.
Yeah.
And it does feel a little flimsy, but I'm pretty sure it is. I think it just got beat up a little bit on the travel, because sometimes these take a beating as they travel. Plus, when you have one book in it, you kind of have that bend to it. But I think it's a Gemini. I'll let you know when I open it. But either way, it's a good quality thing. It'll hold up. It'll protect the book. That's how you do it. I've made the mistake in the past. When I used to ship out my magazine-sized book, everything said did not bend, but the magazines were a little thicker, and the boards are a lot harder, and it would ship fine. So I use a bubble mailer to give the impact for it. When I first moved to the standard size comic, I tried mailing it, and I got a lot of people who were like, "Oh, that was dangerous. Don't do that again." I had a board and bag, but I didn't do anything else. And the first thing I did was panic when someone said that they almost had it damaged. And I was like, I can't do that again. I can't ever make that mistake. I went out and got Gemini mailers within 2 weeks of that date. Bought a whole bunch of them. I will never send anything out without a Gemini mailer again, because when I was sending it out, it had never been a problem with the magazine size, and I figured the bubble envelope was enough. And to my credit, with the smaller ones, what I did is I put a separate piece of cardboard in there to help it, like another board and like a magazine, a couple extra magazine things I had. But because they weren't together the right way, it kind of bent around the comics. So I'll never make that mistake. It's Gemini mailers from this point out the rest of my life.
Yeah, I mean, they're a little expensive, but you know what?
Not if you buy them in bulk. You can get them down to about 50 cents, but you have them in your garage for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Like I ordered, I think it was like 500.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you get them in bulk and they ship really fast.
Yeah. So like, I mean, I bought a bulk load of them. That's why with Cat Dad and Supermom, I don't have to worry about that cost because I've already invested in that cost. So I'm now able to spend the money in a different area. I took the hit last year, but it'll help my business for a little while when it comes to selling comics. So, whatever business that is with nothing going on, but, Kickstarter's been good to me. So a few comments we didn't get to that I do want to talk about. Putting themselves on pedestals because they made money on Kickstarter. Me and Varian Grant have talked about this. The guy who brags about how much he's made. And there are a couple of them now, if not a whole bunch. And I'm sure there's gals who do it too. They talk about, I've made this much on Kickstarter. And the first thing I think in my head is like, so? Like, look at a perfect example. And by the way, this is a perfect time to bring up, we are deeply concerned here at Comic Book Advocates. There is a creator that has been missing. He was supposed to show up on an interview with me, and for some reason has not been seen again. His name is Marcel Dupree. If you have seen Marcel Dupree, please reach out and contact us. He is known as the Kickstarter con man, and he's missing scared, his condition right now. And he's got some sour milk on the industry because he doesn't deliver. He's one of those guys who makes a PDF, sends everyone a PDF, and says, I'm done. What do you mean? I sent out my PDFs. Everyone got their books. Wait, no. I sent my friends who I know will take a picture of it, a couple copies. Isn't that enough?
You mean you actually got to fulfill these things?
Wow. I put the PDF on an update. They didn't see the update. I'm done. That's the end of my campaign. Whoop. Let's make more money. He's now on Gumdrop because I don't think Kickstarter lets him on anymore. I think they got wise to the kid.
Is it Gumdrop or Gumroad?
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
I've never even heard of that. I didn't know that existed.
It's a new up and coming thing. It's like a place to get your comics. I don't trust it because he's on it now more than ever. Because like that'll be another place he scams, and he's a scam artist, and it's just what it is, you know. And I'm not going to be afraid to call people out on what they're doing and tell them the truth about them. But I will say this, and this is an honest comment when it comes to the I make so much money on Kickstarter. It doesn't matter. Never matters what you raised. It matters what you do with it. It matters where you're going with it. If you make $110,000 on Kickstarter, but you don't have more than one issue 2 in your line and you're calling yourself a publisher, you're not a good publisher. Plain and simple. Like, I mean, you should 110,000, you should have 12 issues of one comic, a series, a graphic novel. If you're not doing all that, then you're just throwing money at the wall, and you don't even know what you're doing because you're wasting it. You're probably embezzling if you're not fulfilling. It doesn't matter. Now, to the creators who are fulfilling and doing a good job, again, your costs and what are you doing with it? If you make, let's say, we'll pick on Luke right now. Luke made $3,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
If Luke doesn't make another issue, and if Luke doesn't do anything from this point, I don't care about his $3,000. Literally, it's chump change in this industry. It really is. And I'm not picking on Luke's number. I'm proud of him. But I also understand in this industry, we used to sell millions of comics. For one comic, millions of issues of those literal printings would sell. They would have to go back to the printer and print another one. We don't hear about that anymore. So when you're talking about comics, if you're not breaking $100,000, you're not going to impress me. I'll be proud of you. I'll give credit where credit's due. But I also understand more money, more problems. You know, you literally have to get to about $100,000 where you can make it a machine and you can make it affordable, depending on also what you're charging and all that stuff. But I mean, Luke, I'm sure when he started making more money, was suddenly like, ooh, the shipping is going to get worse and worse, right?
It always gets worse and worse. I always think about the shipping, especially when you start looking at international shipping. You start doing the stretch goals. You add those on, and you realize that okay, well, you know, they're getting this stuff for free, but they're really only paying for this, and you know, I'm still going to walk away with a profit off of it. But I mean, it's not, you know, it's going to pay off a credit card, but it ain't gonna, you know, it ain't meaning I can go on vacation or anything, you know. And so yeah, I'm with you. Like, people are bragging about how much money they make, and I had a conversation with a guy who is in need of quite a bit, and he got a little rude. You know, I was trying to help him out with a couple of tips that people had offered to me that helped me notice, you know, help me get a little more, beat some algorithms.
Sorry, Varian was beeping like crazy with this new computer.
Yeah, he was. He's going crazy.
I'm muted.
Okay. Yeah.
Ding. But no, I was, you know, and so, you know, people have passed on some good information to me, you know, and then there's a fair bit of hustle that you have to do every day. And so I just try to pass on some of that information to him and help him out a little bit with it. And one of the statements was, well, you know, you only needed this much, you know, so when you need this much to fund, then come talk to me. And I'm like, it doesn't matter how much you need to fund. What matters is that percentage to funding that you've got. You know, you've got a big number, so you're going to need to get more reach than what you currently have if you're going to get there. I don't have to have as much reach when I have a smaller number. Now, I want more reach. Obviously, we all want more reach. If we're not trying to get more readers, then what are we really doing in the end? You know, I'm never satisfied with just the number that I've got. I always want more. And, you know, but it's, you know, at the end of the day, the number, I guess, you know, people can brag on that number and talk about that number all they want, but it's really, what are you doing? We were on a panel the other day with, what was his name? He had 70 books out, 70 titles. Rob, you remember his name? Dan, yes. 70 books. And I've not seen one of his Kickstarters come across and I'm like, I'm more impressed with that you've put out 70 books without a single Kickstarter that I've seen. Maybe he's ran them, I don't know, but I haven't seen them. I mean, that's impressive, you know, that you're putting out books. When you look at someone's catalog of books that they've put out and you see title after title after title, that's what impresses me, not how much money you've made on Kickstarter. I might get a little envious for a minute because I'm like, I'm sick of being broke, but at the end of the day, I really like to see how many books someone's created.
You know, guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. One of the things that I was also thinking about, and it crossed my mind when we were talking about things that could. I don't know if this is actually something that can ruin your career, but it can definitely kind of stall it out. I was scrolling through Facebook the other day and came across a Facebook post of a guy who he had his art table set up, and he went out and he bought a professional mic. Actually, it looks like he probably has a Shure mic, which Luke being someone of an audiophile knows that those mics are pretty expensive. I think they start like at $399 and up.
Some of them do.
And it's pretty expensive mics, but he's got it hooked up to his art table. And I said, remember the good old days where, drawing was an isolated thing. You weren't streaming. Remember when art tables didn't have mics? And that made me think about the world we live in now, not just even before the current situation. We started streaming a lot more. We started being out there a lot more on social media. And that makes me, nowadays you almost like, I remember I used to say, look, just don't go on social media. Just let your art, let your product speak for itself. Just be quiet. But then I realize now you kind of can't. It's almost shooting yourself in the foot if you don't go out there and you don't promote your book. I know several publishers who are now demanding that their talent go out there and go on podcasts and live streams and promote their book, and while you're at it, promote the entire company, which is fine. That's fine. I think two things. One, maybe now you might want to invest in that webcam, might want to invest in that microphone. There's no telling if cons are going to come back in the same capacity we left them at, in January. That's the last con I did, I think, was January. Maybe not. Maybe it was February. Yeah, January was the last con I did. So I'm not sure if they're going to come back in the same capacity. On the same side of that, make sure your tech is up to date. Make sure you do have the ability to go on there, and maybe we're all gonna have to adopt this being on the internet and talking and connecting people a lot more. Luke is a very charming guy online. Now, what you don't know is if you meet Luke, he might cuss like a sailor.
You got me figured out, Varian.
I mean, here's the thing. People have been shocked because I'm different. Like even off stream, like I swear a lot more than I do on stream and online. Like my Facebook, oh man, my Facebook is clean. But what do you think?
I'm pretty much what you see is what you get, with the exception of I'm a little introverted until I get comfortable around people.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
And
so with my first appearance, I'm all like,
what do you guys think about that though? Can you in this day and age be quiet, like just not be on social media at all, just let your product speak for itself?
No.
Isn't that what all the artists do? Like, I'm not even being like mean about it, but a lot of artists are just out there on Instagram putting up what they're doing, putting up their fan art, letting that be. Not all artists. Again, I want to stress this. I'm talking about there are artists, because Varian asked about can you do it. So I'm saying there are artists out there who are just putting up fan art and letting fan art speak for themselves and just kind of raking in the money for it, both at shows and online through Instagram, selling it under the table. You know what I mean? So I think you can. Do I suggest it? Absolutely not. You know I'm against fan art. We're on a timeout, a pause about me talking about it heavily, but I'm still against it. I get it. I get why people do it, but I think you got to have those conversations. I think that you have to talk about things and you have to engage. This is a new modern era where, I mean, even the comic book creators back in the day were talking to a lot of people, if you really think about it, because they were doing shows still. Comic-Cons aren't new, but the fan base was smaller because it was pure comic book fans. Now we have movie fans that join us at our Comic Cons, and you have fans of cosplay. I guess I don't believe it. I still don't believe they're just people who are fans of cosplay. I just think they're friends of the cosplayers. But I'm told there are, so it is what it is. And then we have all these people who are there for novel writers. So it's a bigger industry that's harder to get noticed, and not having that social element makes you not part of the conversation. So I think if you want to survive in the industry, you have to do it. But I don't think it's a way to end your career. I just think it's a way to slow your career. Because remember, there are some artists who will get picked up, get work, and there's some artists from the Philippines, from Italy that we never heard of, never seen on social media, and they might be on social media in Italy, on the Italy side. You know, their Yahoo email is at Yahoo Italy. You know, they're just in a different place than we are. But it's the reality of the situation.
Rob, I'd like to introduce a new element to your show.
I'm waiting.
That's right. It's gonna be called Trigger Lola. Since she has to sit behind me and toss comments on a peanut gallery, which is what she does when I'm online now. I'm gonna trigger her right now with a photo.
I thought it was my job to trigger her. Never mind.
Yeah. I'm gonna trigger her with a photo that I just sent to her. And you guys have to,
for that photo. You're
I
around this for all day, huh?
I sent her a photo. We're gonna see how it triggers her. It should do pretty good. That said, it's a quick way to end your career too. Keep messing with keep messing with Lola, and you'll end up getting.
What are they doing?
Yeah, that's cool. All right.
Why are they like disorganized?
That's right. Disorganization. I just sent you a picture. Sent it to you too, Rob. Disorganized.
Why would they just have it in a bucket?
It's awesome. So I sent her a picture of Josh's Copic collection. It's all over the table, and she want to make it by Copics like that. He's reorganizing them now.
No, they need to be in a carrying
She's
case.
tricked. She's triggered. See, I do have a question for you guys. See, she won't let it go. I do have a question for you guys in regards to what we talked about with the with being on social media. How aware you of what you're saying are you when you're on social media? Do you ever get off of a show and say, "Oh crap, did I really say that?" Or is that going to come back to bite me in the ass? I mean, Rob's already used to it at this point.
Not anymore.
No,
I don't give two fucks. Not two fucks. If I hear it come out wrong, I correct myself. If I said something I didn't mean, I elaborate a little bit more. But I've had friends literally go behind my back when I've even made threads that were clearly worded and accuse me of something without using my name, and everyone sees it right away. So you have all of the bitchy little yentas who are creators come running to me, telling me, "Oh, you see what he's doing? He's talking about you, but he didn't tag you in it." So I'll go over to the post and I'll just say, "That's not what I said. This is what I said. Get it right. You're gonna quote me right." And it's always been a rule of mine. Look, I'm gonna say dumb shit every so often. I'm a human being. When I say dumb shit that I didn't mean, I'll say sorry. When I meant it, I'll be like, "I like saying dumb shit. What are you gonna do? I believe in that dumb shit. I'm gonna make that dumb shit happen." Or I'm just gonna be like, "It was a fucking joke. Look it up. It's still in the dictionary. It's a fucking joke. It's not supposed to be gospel." And there, of course.
Well, speaking of gospel, I live my life in a fishbowl, being a full-time pastor, and so people are constantly looking and watching and listening. And you'd be surprised how many people would love to see a pastor slip up. They definitely get some kind of a high off of it. And I've had a lot of people tell lies about me and make up stories about me because, that's what people do. It happens in the church. It happens in the world. It happens everywhere you go. I have no idea what that's supposed to mean, Rob, but
it's bullshit. One day we learned sign language on, I think it was the Breakfast Buzz.
Yeah.
So I know how to say certain things. And I heard that Cuomo had to get someone to be like the person for the deaf people. Mm-hmm. And I know I can't do anything for the blind people because we're talking already, but I felt like every so often I just want to reach out to the deaf fans, give them some love.
There you go.
I
was just going to say that, living that way, to be on a live stream or something like that, it's no different than, if I'm in public with anybody else. It's, you measure your words, you measure your actions.
It would be, I mean, there is a certain fascination with seeing people that, like, I have an aunt that does not swear.
No.
And she said hell once, and everybody, we couldn't believe it. We were like, "Oh!" She said hell, like, leave me the hell alone. And it was like, hey,
I know it's serious when they do that. Like,
yeah.
I'm serious when I'm not cursing. Like when I stop cursing and I get very calm, people know they're in a lot of trouble because I'm now choosing every word. And I'll say this, Varian, you want to be really worried? Think about all the things I decide not to say out loud.
Oh, that is scary.
Oh my!
Think about the things that are getting filtered if this is what I'm saying.
Or think about if Rob thinks what you said out loud was out of line. It's like, oh,
Yeah, when I have to be the one who's like, whoa, just the fact that I'm saying whoa, it's a problem. I make a good joke,
Yeah.
but dead babies never funny with fireworks. I'm sorry, that's a bad joke. Don't do it, okay?
I used to consider myself a scriptwriter. I used to try to get involved in movies. And I had this scene in this movie we filmed about these 3 people that worked at a comic shop. Someone came in and stole a Action Comic #1, which is really weird because they had it sitting on the shelf, not bagged and boarded. It was bagged and boarded, not clamshell or anything. It was a reprint copy that I had, but it looked like the original. I even dog-eared it to make it look, pretty bad. And we did this thing where I had this. There was a guy who in the show could not. He couldn't relieve himself. Let's put it that way. And the characters were walking past the bathroom, and they said, "Did you hear about the guy who has a? Did you hear about some guy took a box of puppies and taped the box up, and the puppies all like died in the box, and the guy's in the bathroom trying to basically relieve himself." He says, "Oh, thanks, that did it." And when they read the script, my friend was like, "Dude, that's too dark. That's too far. You can't do that. That's a horrible joke." And I thought about that. I'm like,
and why would you bring it up on my show?
No, because I want to.
Just say I made a really bad joke. Don't kill puppies on my show, Barry.
No, it was a really bad joke. But you know what? That also taught me a lesson that I would run my scripts past people and ask them, "Hey, did I go too far here? Should I scale back here?" And they would get. Sometimes I get told, "Yeah." Then I got people who says, "No, fuck that, man. Do what you got to do. Say what you got to say."
Let's burn this motherfucker down, Pookie.
Yeah. Let's just. And I think about that. I mean,
Pookie is what my wife calls me.
Is it?
Let's burn this down, Pookie.
Just gonna say that to you now.
Yeah, that's funny.
Travis Gibbs says, "How can I impress you?" I have to say, Travis Gibbs impresses me constantly. That's it. No joke. I know everyone was waiting for me to put a joke on there, but no.
And the punchline?
I am a decent human being, Varian. Fuck. I stood up for the puppies.
I've heard otherwise. There's poetry out there about you, Rob. Poetry.
I know it. It's so nice.
Poetry.
I love reading it. And they're like for a good time. And I always have to correct it because they have the wrong number, and I have to put in my ex's number.
I always like to correct the people that write hate stuff about me that post. I like to correct their facts. I'm like, that's
you know what I do? I used to do this. So Wikipedia, everyone knows Wikipedia is not the most reliable source. A lot of people didn't realize I had a Wikipedia ability to edit things for a very long time. And I would go around and usually correct it the right way. But when I was fighting with someone online and they were just being stupid and using Wikipedia, and I knew the information was wrong, I would go in there and change it because the changes used to be a lot quicker than they are now. Now they actually review some of the changes, but back a while ago they did not. So I was able to slip random things in there, like the above statement was all fictional and put up this time, and I'd be like, go look at your link. It says it's fictional. I used to get people so mad.
that's trolling. Actually, that's like high level trolling, is what that is.
It is, but he's not a troll. He's never trolled anybody. He looks down on the trolls, but
well, you met me. You get you hit the horns of the devil. What can I say?
That's that third wave troll. There's a 3D chess trolling is what that is. He's on a whole other level.
3D chess trolling.
Yeah. He's like, you're playing checkers. He's playing 3D chess. Yeah. A masterclass of troll-like behavior.
And next week, how to troll a motherfucker the right way.
Yeah. It's I have heard this
John Snopes.
Yeah, I have heard this, and this was and I'm pretty sure handled. Well, that could be a subject for another conversation. I won't bring it up.
Well, you brought so much up today from
Yeah.
puppies. Thank you for holding. That must be so horrible. If that's the one thing you've decided not to share.
No. It's just it could be another panel discussion. But I guess how do you? I mean, because like there's no reason for us to have media. You got your indie advocates. Like basically at this point, I call it an empire because there's so many different facets of it. But then and I've got Indie Vote, and I've been told before, well, this person thinks that you have a media outlet so you can gatekeep and keep them from getting publicity. And like that person never contacted me at all. And I'm pretty sure.
How does creating a site stop someone from getting publicity? Do they understand what they're saying?
Because you won't let them on your site.
Because what?
You won't cover them on your site.
But that's not me stopping them from getting publicity. That's me not just liking a motherfucker. Not liking you. Me stopping you is going to every friend, like me going to Varian and be like, yo, Varian, this guy, he puts puppies in a box and he pees on them.
Now I'm hungry.
Oh
my gosh.
Wow. It's Chinese food for dinner already?
What has happened? What has happened? Why am I here?
Wow. We're ruining our own careers. We're showing it live on TV how to do it.
Yeah, we're showing. Here's how you destroy a career. You talk about eating dead puppies that you've urinated on.
You got to marinate them. That's how you get the meat tender.
I don't even know what's happening right now.
No, but I do want to talk about some other things. Two things that are kind of related, and this is serious, kidding around aside. Ego and putting people on their own pedestal, and then we're going to end the show on this one. There are a lot of people who act like they cured fucking cancer in this industry, who have put themselves on such a high pedestal that they literally look down on people. And meanwhile, all they've done is a couple Kickstarters, and they act like they're fucking Stan Lee or Jack Kirby. And they've done so little in the grand scheme of things. Understand, Jack Kirby did, what would you say, at least 1,000 comics? Not kidding. 1,000 comics. Stan Lee had his finger in thousands of comics.
Let me tell you something about Jack Kirby. This is the standard that no one meets to this day. So Jack Kirby found out that he was going to go fight the Nazis. So he literally fought Nazis. And so comic books would continue to come out while he was gone. He not only continued his regular workload, but he created a backlog so that they can put out a comic for every month while he was gone. And while he was gone, he worked as a scout. His troop leader, they found out that he could draw, and so they made him a scout going into places to draw reconnaissance maps. And while he was in one of these towns doing this, very dangerous what he was doing, but he wound up getting frostbite really bad, and he had to go into the hospital. He did wind up recovering from the frostbite, but while he was there, his platoon got sent to Bastogne, and they all died. So he came this close to losing one of the greatest artists and comic creators of all time. But during the time while he was fighting Nazis, there was still not a single month where a Jack Kirby book didn't come out, because he created a backlog of books for while he was gone. That's a work ethic that you just don't see. People start acting like they're the cat's meow, they are the God's gift when they have 2 or 3 books out. It's the ones with their nose down drawing all day long. Like those are the guys that that don't brag, that should be bragged on, in my opinion.
One of the best Jack stories I heard was that he got to the point where he was just drawing all the time. Like he would pull over and start drawing instead of driving. He'd pull over on the sidewalk and start drawing. And yeah, I think that's when you've been drawing. But I actually had a dream a long time ago that I was drawing in my sleep. So, I drew a picture while in my dream, and I realized I was drawing way too much at that point. I had to back off a bit. Rob, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take over. I just heard the Jack Kirby story I wanted to add.
In mind, we're at the base again, but we're not talking about ego though, and that is the topic on the way out. There are a lot of people who want to claim that they're really good, and I always say this, and I say this to anyone: we don't get to make that decision. The fans get to decide ultimately who's a legend and who's not. And it's a hard work ethic, like Luke said, and you can't put yourself up on a pedestal. Anyone who's putting themselves on a pedestal always gets knocked off the pedestal, because the ones who are put on the pedestal are the ones who don't want to be on the pedestal because they understand the pressure of that pedestal. And they're still out there trying to grind away. Stan Lee was still trying to make comics to the very end until he lost his mind. Granted, they weren't the best comics, but that was just who he was. A lot of creators go out trying to create. And then you get the subpar people who want to be celebrity. And yeah, our comic industry saw a short bit where there were celebrities, but that's going away now. And now it's going back to be about the books. It's going about to be about the creations. The creators are, once again, I mean, let's be honest, in the 90s, we didn't all know who the creators were too much. You just read the book. Mm-hmm. And then I've heard stories where people are like, wow, people actually write these. And it was because you never thought to read the credits page. But since the 90s, the credits page is gigantic now. But back in the 80s, the credits were at the bottom of the scroll. You didn't have artists' names on covers. You didn't have writers' names on covers. Now you have it all the time. Ego's gotten kind of carried away instead of quality. Let me tell you, it's always impressive when you make that first comic. After that, it's impressive when you keep making comics. When you're delivering year in, year out, you're getting a book out, you're coming out with new ideas, you're continuing things going, and you're getting things that are creatively done. That's impressive. When you make one comic book, that's entrance fee to even be part of the conversation, and there is nothing more to it. And we're being joined by Professor Trico. How do you say it, Trico? I say it right?
Trico. Yeah, you did it perfect.
All right. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I just figured I'd pop in. Rob's like my spirit animal, so I enjoy spending time, talking comics with him online. How's everyone doing?
Pretty good. How are you, Trike?
No, doing good, man. Doing good. So what do we got today? The how to fail in the comic book industry.
Yeah, it's like putting up a guy who had a horrible business called Kraken that screwed a bunch of people, and then a guy who beat up emotionally women on a show for your publisher, and putting the two of those villains together to sell your wares. That would be a good way to end your publishing career, I would think. Yeah, definitely have a telethon with those two, where you beg people for money, and the only ones that buy the crap is like 10 family members of people that made the crap. Yeah. It always makes me think, was Jeffrey Dahmer fucking busy?
Jeffrey Dahmer's dead, isn't he?
Only you know that. Everyone else, I could have slid that one by. The serial sent it home. He's like, the dead pile.
Yeah, he's I got a list of people who've died. He's over there. I want to bring out the fact that everything bad that's happened in comics in the last 4 years has all been Trico's fault.
It has.
So if I can go back to like 1994, 95, I can. What would I find young Trico at 94, 95?
Taking driver's ed and hoping one day to touch a boob. I'm still hoping I get to
driver's ed. I could cut some brake lines, and
I didn't know how to work on cars back then. I would have been like, ow. Oh my!
Just how you just careen out there in traffic. I've saved the comic industry.
I'm gonna fail this test. Oh, I'll never get my license. Never touch a boob. Go careening into like the median.
I mean, it's all Trico's fault. We have to stop him. I don't think that I know one thing that Rob said that he wanted to talk about was ego in comics. There's a lot of ego. There are a lot of bad actors, and I think, and again, I pick on Trico for doing stuff, but for me, I've led a lot of cancerous individuals in this industry. I've caught people trying to leave or being forced. I'm like, no, don't leave. Here, I'll help you. And then after 2 months, realizing, oh, I see why you were leaving.
Should have let him go.
Yeah, I should have let him go, but no, I was, hey, wait a minute. You like comics? I like comics.
Stick around and screw a few more people over, why don't you?
Yeah. It's like, oh man, now I realize why your ass is running. You suck. And then Yeah, I mean, so I mean, as much as I joke with Trico about it, I've caused it. I've done it.
Yeah, there's a couple people in the industry I can blame on variant.
Yeah, and he's doesn't, imagine that's what me and Trico sit there all day and do. Damn it, Trico. And he's like, I see something happen. Damn Trico, and then he sees something. That's variant's fault. Okay,
Yeah.
we got to run and tally at this point.
Yeah.
Well, everything will be okay if you hadn't done this.
It's your fault.
Yeah. I'm just gonna hang up everything here now.
There's a few we got to blame on Randy too.
Oh yeah. Randy. I blame a few on Rob. In fact, though, I say the Christian thing to do would be to blame.
It's my fault.
Because you've given some of these, you give it exposure, you covered stuff.
I told you the police dropped that. Go back to what you were saying.
I think the Christian thing would be for Luke to take what we've done and take it upon himself as a martyr, and absolve us because we haven't done anything wrong. I mean, we didn't know what we were doing. Luke, it's all your fault.
Holy water or something like that.
No, it's all your fault. I want to cast all of my problems onto you, like a sacrificial goat, and push you out.
I ain't Jesus. Good reason why I ain't Jesus. I ain't dying for nobody.
What's Luke doing with a tanker truck full of holy water? He's trying to wash away Trico and variant sins.
Yeah. Why is it?
We're baptizing some folks today.
That'd be funny.
See who they let in. There was a guy at the gate for a reason, and they let him in the back door.
We sneak in. We know people.
Nah, but there's a lot of ego, and here's the thing. I think I think the ego. Obviously, there's ego with artists, but I think there's ego with writers. I think there's ego with editors. I think there's ego with publishers. I think at every level you've got a bit of ego, and I think most of the drama that you get within the industry is from people who have had their ego hurt. Mm-hmm. And that's where a lot of the outbreak and all that kind of stuff comes from. When you think about all that drama, you can go back to some person got humbled and they didn't want to be humbled. Humility is a great thing, but most people don't want it.
Exactly.
I was like, I'm humbled because I had to be.
Hey, you guys have worked with all kinds of different creative types. Who would you say were the worst, egomaniacs? Is it artists, writers, or editors, or letterers, or inkers, or colors?
Yes.
All of them. Yeah.
It really depends. It really kind of depends. I'll tell you what, I work with a lot of Brazilian colorists because I like these guys. They are nice.
Cool.
They are accommodating, and they work hard. I worked with a couple of U.S. flatters, and man, they're terrible. With the exception of one. I've got one U.S. flatter that I really like, and his name is Robert Roy, and he does a great job. And he's quick, but a lot of the other ones, it's like they kind of phone in the work, and they're like, "Oh, you only paid me $10 for that page." I'm like, dude, you filled in the blanks. It's like what do you want? You want co-creator status on the book? Yeah, no, that's not happening. Yeah, I mean, you just get a lot of people that you'll get people like that. For the longest time, I didn't work with an editor because I had to find the right editor because they were so busy wanting to tell me how I sucked as a writer instead of trying to help me be better as a writer. And that's the whole point of having an editor, is that they help you grow and they understand your vision and help you get there. And so that's when I started working exclusively with one particular editor. And
What editor? You can advertise them, give them a
Chuck
plug. You know?
Pino, man, I'm telling you.
Oh
Chuck
yeah,
is
he's good.
an
He's a good
amazing
guy.
editor. Yeah. Now I've
Yeah.
had other editors that all they wanted to do was tell me how I can't spell, how I can't write a sentence structure, and how all my story sucks. You know, it's like, well, that's not really. I had a guy, and I'm just gonna say this for a second. The dude, I was looking for a layout artist because we use those in the industry. Basically, what they do is they thumbnail out your page for you so that you can just kind of have a starting point to work from, and you can pencil and ink really quickly because you don't have to sit there worrying about how you're going to lay out the page, right? And so I hire a few of them, and I don't really care how well they draw. All I care about is how well they can sequence a page with panel and camera angle and stuff like that. It needs to look interesting so that I can go in, then pencil and ink it, and I'll be done. And so I was looking for a new guy. And so this guy said, oh, hey, I would love to maybe work with you. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Well, I'll get with you later. And he's like, no, dude, go ahead and send me a script and I'll do a page of the script so you can see how I'll do it. Right. And I'm like, okay, well, I've got this script that, hasn't been edited. We're not, we're kind of just messing with. It's kind of a cool story concept idea. So I send him the script, right? I said, just do page 1. He writes me back to tell me how unrealistic page 1 is and all these different things. I said, well, listen, bonehead, if you read the rest of the script, all those questions were answered because that was on page 2 of the script. And besides, I didn't think I was hiring you to be an editor. So never mind.
Exactly.
I don't need a layout artist who has cojones so big he probably can't walk straight. I'm like, come on, dude. That's not what you're here for. You are a freaking layout artist. Know your place. I know when I'm penciling a book for somebody, I am their artist. What they want is what they want. I don't tell them that their stuff sucks. I letter tons of books, and I don't tell people how their script is terrible. I don't tell them how I think it's boring. I don't do that kind of stuff. I work on it. I do everything I can to make my part of that job make their book better. And there's just too many people that they let their egos get in the way. And I just relax, man. It's comics.
Yeah. I mean, I've met people who've done the same exact thing, and it's been not with the ego. They said things. I had someone once threaten me and all my companies.
Why?
Just because they were upset about something. Oh, 1 second, guys. 1 second.
For a minute, it looked like Varian was looking over at Rob's speech box.
I'm the only one that's actually physically on screen right now. Look at this.
Yeah, I'm too ugly. I only use headphones.
There was a loud crash outside, and I don't know what it was.
I'm just too busy trying to advertise hybrids because I went ahead and I stuck it on Indiegogo for 20 days. So until June 1st, you can go over to https://igg.me/at/hybrids5, and you can go ahead and pick up a copy of that if you missed it on Kickstarter.
Did you have them bring over all your stuff?
Say what?
You can have them bring over all your Kickstarter information. Did you do that?
I did it manually.
No, you should have. I wish you. I told you. I thought I told you to talk to me. There's a way you can import it all.
I don't know anything.
That's okay. And I was running around getting Jack set up for something. I heard all of you guys talking, so it's all good.
Cool.
We are at the end of the basic program, though. If everyone wants to say goodbye, we're at 2:17. I think we covered it. Basically, don't act like us on this video, and you'll be fine.
Ask yourself what would Trico do, and then just do the opposite.
Just don't be a jerk.
Yeah.
You want to make sure you've got a career in comics? Just don't be a jerk to people.
Yeah. Any final comments? You can say it on your way out. Tell the people where they can find you and what you're up to. And we're gonna start with Varian.
Yeah, you can find me tonight on Indie Vote Live at 9 p.m. I'm sorry, there was my face not up there. Okay, yeah. Find me tonight, Indie Vote Live 9 p.m. on YouTube, Facebook, on the Indie Vote Facebook. We'll be live on Indie Vote Radio as well. We got a very, very big group of people coming tonight. Can't tell you who because I'm afraid. If I dropping names, somebody's gonna back out and be, oh, you didn't have that person on. But very good show tonight. We got playing for you. Hopefully you're there. Find me on Facebook, Varian Grant, Twitter at KYD_V, and Last Call Comics, my publishing company. Of course, IndieVote.com, Indie Vote Radio, Indie Vote TV on Roku.
All right, next up, Luke.
Hi, my name's Luke Stone. I am the writer and artist behind Hybrids of the Sons of God. You can find me at lukestonestudios.com. You can also go over to starcrosscomics.com and join our mailing list there. You can also find that little tag there if you happen to miss Hybrids of the Sons of Gods. It's a really rocking book. Of course, I'm biased. And you will not find me on Varian's show tonight.
Yeah, I didn't even have anything prepared to promote. I saw the invite come over from Rob, and I felt like an ugly girl that got asked to prom or something. I'm like, oh my god, what am I wearing? But I don't know, if you want to buy some history-inspired T-shirts, check out www.historyswagger.com. It's a bunch of cool history-inspired T-shirts on there for you. And sometime next year, I'll probably have a book out, so I'll be plugging that somewhere.
He's muted.
I want to thank everyone for being part of the show today, and just hanging out, talking about this. We're gonna have another show, of course, tomorrow at 4 p.m. like we do every day, keeping you guys entertained during the weird times of this crazy pause. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Remember to be kind and share.